I'm thinking we could.
At Citi Field in New York, the New York Mets play the Cincinnati Reds. Well, the last time the Mets and Reds got together, it was in Cincinnati last September. You remember that. It's when the Mets clinched the National League Eastern Division flag, sweeping the Reds in the season series and putting their names on a title for the first time since 2006. And a pleasant good evening, everybody, and welcome to Citi Field. Gary Cohen, Keith Hernandez, Ron Darling with you tonight as the Mets open a 3-game series against the Cincinnati Reds, the start of a 9-game homestand. There are plenty of attractions right now for the red-hot Mets, who've won 8 of their last 10. Every day they throw out an ace starter, but the ace of aces so far this year has become must-see. And that's Noah Syndergaard.
You know what's crazy about it? My friends that are Mets fans text me all the time, when is Syndergaard pitching again? That's how big he has become. But it was interesting before the game. Sandy Alderson had some real interesting words about Syndergaard, saying that in the last 12 months, he's never seen a kid mature on and off the field, have command of his life on and off the field. And he's coupled that with an incredible work ethic that he is now at the top of his game and the top of all pitchers in baseball.
Mets today, for the first time this season, get a look at the Cincinnati Reds. And like many teams in the National League this year, and the Phillies and Braves, whom the Mets have already played, are among them, a team that may be looking more toward the future than 2016. But they do have a legitimate superstar in Joey Votto, who is off to a poor start, but has been one of the best players of his generation.
Well, a batting champion, Joey Votto, great hitter, great glove at first base, but he's hitting around 206 right now, off to a slow start on a team that really needs his bat. I mean, he's their third hitter, and he does draw a lot of walks. He's one of the great premier players. It was much like what Curtis Granderson with the Mets earlier in the year, a different type of hitter, more of the catalyst for this ball club when Curtis was struggling. Now Curtis has caught fire, and as a result, this Met offense has caught fire.
And Votto will be without one of his running mates. Jay Bruce is away on paternity leave and will probably miss the entire series. So the Mets try and keep it rolling against the Reds tonight in their return to Citi Field. All the action coming your way on SNY. SNY is brought to you by Citi, proud partner of the New York Mets. By Mazda, driving matters. By the Better Network, Verizon, better matters. By Geico, the #1 insurer in the New York market. And by Memorial Sloan Kettering Cancer Center. Get to Citi Field for the first Free Shirt Friday of 2016, April 29th, when the Mets face off against the Giants at 7:10. All fans in attendance will receive a 2015 National League Champs t-shirt, courtesy of 1-800-Flowers.com. For tickets, visit Mets.com/Free-Shirt-Fridays. Tonight's Mets power pitchers are brought to you by East Coast Power and Gas. The Mets sitting second in the National League right now in strikeouts per 9 innings, averaging better than a strikeout per inning, and they've got their top strikeout starter on the mound tonight. Noah Syndergaard hydrating before he throws the first pitch of this game against the Reds, which is coming right up. The great attractions of the game, the power pitcher who can overpower the hitters, from Bob Feller to Bob Gibson. Don Drysdale teaming with Sandy Koufax with the Dodgers. The great Nolan Ryan of the 7 no-hitters. And Randy Johnson with his left-handed slants. And now the Mets have a 100-mile-an-hour pitcher in their own right in Noah Syndergaard, and he has been just overwhelming so far this year and has become a must-see attraction.
Well, when I watch this, I do not want to get in the box. Usually we say we'd love to get in the box, not against that.
Very nice.
There have been 28 pitches of 100 miles an hour thrown in the major leagues this year. 12 of them came from Syndergaard in his last start against the Phillies. Here's the Reds starting lineup that'll face him today, brought to you by Hyundai. See Joey Votto in the 3-hole. Brandon Phillips off to a good start after he turned down a trade in the offseason. And the rest of it, a lot of fill-in names. We mentioned Jay Bruce away. His wife's expecting their first child in Houston and will probably miss the entire series.
Well, an appropriate stat for Noah Syndergaard. You can see the Land Rover, 4 walks, but 6 days rest he's pitching on today. He has a lot of innings, 65 and a third in his career, ERA 2.62 with 6 days rest or more.
And we'll take a look at the Met defense, brought to you by Lexus. Diaza gets the start in center field today, as we still have Cespedes on the bench with the bruise. Duda, Walker, Cabrera right, David back in the lineup, and d'Arnaud behind the plate.
Zach Cozart will lead things off for Cincinnati. The Reds shortstop off to a good start, hitting an even 400. And Syndergaard's first fastball in for a strike at 99 miles an hour.
With movement and sinking.
Little movement there is correct, Ron. Very perceptive of you.
Noah pitched 7 innings against the Phillies a week ago, struck out 8, allowed 1 run, 5 hits. Cozart bounces 1 foul. Zach Cozart missed a good portion of last year with knee surgery after he had gotten off to a very good start, and the Reds are thrilled to have him back. Noah quickly ahead 0-2, and he blows him away on 3 fastballs. Cozart retired for the first out of the night.
Well, you saw this was the target upstairs, and I've been saying when he learns to throw upstairs, he may never have to throw a strike, Ronnie.
So 2 2-seamers down and then a 4-seamer up in his eyes. No chance.
That is a beautiful thing, and you're going to find a lot of hitters that are not going to be able to lay off that pitch, and they're not going to catch up to it.
Now Eugenio Suarez playing third base. Played a lot of shortstop last year when Cozart was hurt, and he takes inside for ball 1. You know, we were talking yesterday about facing a pitcher for the first time, because the Mets faced the first-time starter Aaron Blair, and how the hitters talk to one another as the game is in its early stages about what they're seeing. Now, the Reds have seen Syndergaard before, but I would think, especially after that first demonstration of fastballs, there's got to be conversation going on amongst the Reds players.
Well, every start is different for no matter what pitcher's out there, whether it's Tom Seaver or Bumgarner. He may have his fastball that day, he may have more movement, and you want to know the first time up as the guys pass through the order. You want to find out what's happening with him, what's he got going on.
That's a good call. That every start is different.
Well, he hasn't hit 100 yet. I guess that's different. 98 and 99.
That's a mere bag of shells.
First half dozen fastballs from Syndergaard. Ahead on Suarez 1-2 with Joey Votto on deck.
There you go. I love it. I love what they're trying to do now. Get him upstairs with that heater. Ronnie, when you look at Joey Votto right there, the struggling Joey Votto, when you had 6 days off, how did it affect you?
Well, it was different because I sunk the ball more than, I mean, I didn't throw as hard as Noah, not even close. I like to pitch with less rest than more rest, but he should be throwing bullets all night.
His first breaking ball is lifted to left. On comes Conforto, and he puts it away for the second out. Home plate umpire Sam Holbrook. Carlos Torres working at first base, not the pitcher. Jerry Davis is the umpire at second. The crew chief Corey Blazer at third. You know, Carlos Torres, the umpire, was behind the plate for Carlos Torres, the pitcher, the other day, and Carlos, the pitcher, struck out the side.
Okay, let me be. Carlos Torres is in Milwaukee.
Milwaukee, right? Yeah. Pitching against the Phillies over the weekend. Here's Joey Votto with 2 out, and he takes a first pitch curveball for ball 1. It's been a rough start for Votto, but he does have 4 hits in his last 10 at bats to get over 200 for the year. Last year, 314, 29 home runs, 143 walks, and a check swing topper. David Wright is on it, and Syndergaard's got himself a 1-2-3 opening inning. Strong start for Syndergaard. Mets come to bat in the bottom of the first with no score. Curtis Granderson got red hot during the Mets 7-2 road trip, set to lead things off for New York. And here is your Geico Mets starting lineup. No Yoenis Cespedes. He had fluid drain from that bruise on his leg. Might miss this entire series. Deaza gets the start in center field today. Darno and Wright had the day off yesterday. They're both back in. The Reds throw their opening day starter, Raisel Iglesias.
Well, you see his Toyota numbers. He has not had a bad start this year, opening day starter. And when you watch him, you'll see a little bit of El Duque. Lots of arms and legs, will throw from any position, low, high, over the top.
26-year-old Cuban who made his big league debut last year, and he finds the inside corner to Granderson. Curtis in Atlanta 6 for 13 with 2 home runs. So he has gotten it rolling now. In fact, you go back the last 5 games now, Curtis has a .538 on base percentage, so doing exactly what he needs to do, and has led off each of the last 4 first innings with a base hit. Iglesias working quickly, and he strikes out Granderson with a breaking ball. 3-pitch strikeout for Iglesias to start his night.
Here's your Reds defense. Coors Light brings that to you. Billy Hamilton, the speedster who cannot steal first base at center field. Zach Cozart, he was injured last year. He's back. The veteran Brandon Phillips at second base. And Devin Mesoraco was hurt most of last year. Another highly touted player, catcher, big strong kid.
There's David Wright, who had the day off yesterday. In his last 20 at bats, David is 3 for 20 with 11 strikeouts. The strikeouts have become rather alarming for David, but the last game he played on Saturday had a pair of doubles, including a big one that drove in a couple of runs. So it's been kind of an all or nothing affair for David at the plate. When you see a pitcher like Iglesias, they'll always describe him as very loose-limbed.
Loose-limbed. Conforto on deck. What's interesting, he reminds me of some of the pitchers you would see in the 70s and the 80s who mechanics weren't such an issue. Just go out there and kind of work whatever you had to work with.
Well, he's impressive so far. He's a strike thrower. That's what I like to see. Only 5 walks in 23 in the 3rd innings.
1-2 to right. And he misses with a breaking ball. 2-2.
Yeah, he's got a nice little slider. He's going to be tough on right-handers.
And notice that shot also hides the ball extremely well.
Defected from Cuba in 2013, signed by the Reds the following year once he became eligible, and a strike 3 called. Fastball on the outside corner. So back-to-back strikeouts for Iglesias.
Well, he has that fastball like Cologne's that'll come back over the outside corner. And starts it away and then comes over that outside part.
That's right on the there's no more black on home plate. I don't know why they got rid of the black, because the ball's white, but that was on the corner then, I guess. You used to have the black around an inch broad,
yeah,
thick, or whatever, not thick, that would wide. Thank you, truck.
Michael Conforto takes a fastball for a strike. Well, now you've got, as you say, the white baseball on the white plate. It's not blonde on blonde, it's white on white.
Well, the black would give the umpires a look at the corner. You've got a white ball that would go over the black of the plate. It would be a nice little contrast for them.
Conforto installed in the 3-hole at the start of the road trip. That paid great dividends. He had a great trip. The entire offense had a great trip. Iglesias showing off his changeup.
Yeah, 2-0 changeup to Conforto.
And Conforto's been getting a lot of changeups early in the count. Ronnie throwing in the junk, and then with 2 strikes coming inside on him. Like now.
In the air, deep right center. Back goes Hamilton, looking up at the wall. It's out of here. Michael Conforto with his 3rd home run of the year. And for the 8th time in the last 10 games, the Mets score in the 1st inning. He has been money since installed in that 3 spot in the batting order. And he takes Iglesias deep to put the Mets in front.
They wanted to come inside here, and boy, this young man. See the catcher set up in. Watch it. Did not even close. Missed out over the outer half. And Conforto, that's way out. That's a bomber.
Boy, the good hitters, the ball makes a different sound off the bat than most hitters.
Lucas Duda drives one. It's too tall for Brandon Phillips, and Duda's got a base hit. So back-to-back base hits with 2 outs. That home run by Michael Conforto means $2,000 for No Kid Hungry, enough to provide 20,000 healthy meals courtesy of Citi. We mentioned that the Mets have scored in the first inning 8 of their last 10 games. They've also set a franchise record. It's the 12th straight game in which the Mets have scored first. They had never done that before in their history. And, you know, when you score first, you get a pretty good chance of staying in front.
Well, here it is. Wanted to get it in, and you see full extension of the arms. And again, 2-strike hitting. Love it.
Duda following by attacking the first pitch. So he's aboard with 2 out. Neil Walker will step in. Walker coming off an extraordinary road trip that saw him hit 6 home runs over the 9 games, including his 100th career home run. And Iglesias comes inside and low.
Home runs keep coming for the Mets, don't they?
Well, they went home runless yesterday in Atlanta after 23 in the previous 8 games.
They have only 2 games on that road trip where they didn't hit a home run.
The two Sunday games.
Right, Kluber.
Against Kluber in Cleveland, and then yesterday when they scratched out 3 runs without a home run.
2 of those 3 runs they scored yesterday, Ronnie, and I'm sure you were watching, were with Cabrera in the 2-hole. Granderson lead off. Situational hitting, hit the ball to the right side for base hit, set up first and third.
Most home runs Mets have hit on a Met has hit on a road trip in the last decade. And Walker finds a hole into right center field. Duda will go first to third. So 3 straight 2-out hits after Iglesias fanned the first 2. And the Mets have runners at the corner.
And you see the shift there, not a complete shift. Hit it right, hit him where they ain't. And Walker stays back. Look at the shoulder drive in. A little out in front, but ripped. Can't be perfect all the time. So the Mets are just scalding hot right now with the bats.
And Asdrubal Cabrera has been a big part of that. Last 10 games, Asdrubal hitting .395 and looking to add to the Mets' first inning total. Duda at third, Walker at first with 2 out. And a first pitch curveball hit slowly. Iglesias off the mound. Asdrubal evades the tag, but they call him for running out of the baseline, and he's called out. First base umpire Carlos Torres immediately saying that Asdrubal had gone out of the baseline to avoid the tag, and so give a put out to the pitcher, and that ends the inning.
Good call.
But the Mets take the early lead yet again. 12th straight game they scored first. Michael Conforto with a first inning home run. Nice evasive maneuver though. Noah Syndergaard, now furnished with a 1-0 lead, will face Brandon Phillips, leading off in the second. Phillips hit a .297 to start the year, and takes a fastball for a strike. Marcell Iglesias, after giving up the home run to Michael Conforto, not very pleased with himself.
Okay, I like a little competitive spirit. Didn't hurt himself.
Only the glove, and it will recover.
Right. It's an inanimate object, Gary.
Brandon Phillips trying to find a hole. Sliding stop Cabrera. Phillips safe at first base. And Brandon Phillips has another hit in Queens. 33 straight games against the Mets. Every game he's ever played, either at Shea or Citi Field, Brandon Phillips has had at least one hit.
Well, again, another nice play by Cabrera at shortstop, who just continues to shine with the glove. He has really impressed me.
That is the longest hitting streak for a player in the opposing team's park since 1938. 33 straight games Brandon Phillips has a hit on the road against the Mets. He had been tied for that record with another player who did it against the Mets, who later became a Met, Luis Castillo, who also hit in 32 games in Flushing as an opposing player. Devin Mesoraco off to a slow start, coming back from hip surgery last summer. Had a huge year 2 years ago. 25 home runs,
80 RBIs. Hit .273 that year.
Syndergaard overpowers him upstairs, and it's 0-2. Those are Phillips's numbers in Flushing. They can't get him out.
Pretty good slugging percentage too.
Oh, and 2 to Mesoraco. There goes Phillips, and it's hit foul. Well, this is what teams have been doing. They have trouble getting on base against Syndergaard, but once they get there, they've been running.
Good jump. And, you know, Syndergaard's not that slow home.
He's not, but if you could see with your peripheral vision, you could tell that Phillips is very anxious over there. And if you're a pitcher, you would have noticed that and maybe had to throw over. Noah obviously didn't see it.
Well, you try any way to rattle a pitcher.
Yeah.
You know, you find out he's new to the league, even though he came up last year. Find out some pitchers have trouble with men on base. Some pitchers have trouble holding men on base. So you're trying to find and probe and try to find a weakness.
Well, let me ask you this. Clearly, Noah would like to get better at holding runners and be, you know, better attuned to stopping the running game. But until he is, do you want him preoccupied with the base runners?
I don't. I think you make the courtesy move over there once in a while. And to me, Brandon Phillips doesn't have that much speed. If you keep him close, your catcher should have a shot at him.
He's running again, and Mesoraco fouls it back. Well, some extra housekeeping by Brandon Phillips.
By the way, Phillips is getting a little long in the tooth. That might be the last time he runs in this at bat.
Was there? Did the Nationals try to get him in the offseason?
Yes.
That was Dusty Baker.
He turned down the trade. He runs again. It's grounded toward third. A fair ball off the glove of right, and everybody's safe. So it's back-to-back infield hits, and the Reds have the first 2 men on in the second.
2 infield hits here. Pretty good at bat by Mesoraco there, but Syndergaard throwing 98, 99. Just off the glove of David, but it does prevent first and third. That would have been second and third. Nobody out.
So now Adam Duvall playing right field today with Jay Bruce away, but he's become the regular left fielder for Brian Price. Duvall, former Giants first-round draft pick. acquired last year at the trading deadline for Mike Leake. Duvall at 255 for the year. And Syndergaard throws one by him at 99.
His short stint with the Reds last year after the trade, he had 5 home runs and 64 at bats. So that's what they're expecting from Mr. Duvall.
And they got a ballpark that is conducive to the long ball.
Syndergaard got the side in order in the first. First 2 men have reached here in the second. And Duvall takes a strike on the outside edge, 0-2.
And really, this is the thing I've been most impressed with the maturity of Syndergaard, his ability to command that fastball to both sides of the plate. You are not going to hit that pitch.
Unflappable, Syndergaard, just his demeanor. Oh boy, Brunhilde.
4. Oh, 2 to Duvall, up and away. Scott Schebler, a left-hand hitter, waiting on deck. Schebler playing left field tonight.
Well, the last time he threw a fastball up, fouled off by Suarez, he came back with the curveball that got him an out on the fly out to left field. Let's see if he does that again.
Wouldn't mind a ground ball in this spot. Phillips dancing off second base and getting Syndergaard's attention.
A lot of times your catcher will tell you to step off if the guy at second is getting a big lead. He'll yell out to you, step off.
Phillips at second, Mesoraco at first, and nobody out. Syndergaard slowing down the pace here with men on. And a look at Phillips.
This is the part of the game that I always found troublesome. When you got guys on base, it took so long sometimes for the catchers to spit those signs out that you end up standing out there for a long time if you're not on the same page.
Now the 1-2, and he misses with the slider. 2-2. Only 92 on the slider. Not that 95-mile-an-hour animal we saw in Kansas City earlier this year.
I think he's lost a little bit of his rhythm with the men on base. I think that Brandon Phillips with the stolen base, having to pay some attention to the runners.
Walker made a dash to the bag, then backed away. 2-2 coming, and he struck him out with a fastball away. Second strikeout for Syndergaard, the first out of the inning.
Well, the four-seamer you see as it leaves his hands true and right to that outside corner. That ball even had a little cut on it away from the right-handed hitter Duvall.
98-mile-an-hour cutter. The hammers are hanging.
Love it.
Here's Scott Schebler, who had some time with the Dodgers. Picked up in the three-way trade that sent Todd Frazier to the White Sox in the offseason. One of the moves the Reds made that really restructured their team and set them up for rebuilding. Schebler's got some power, but he's hitting just 167 to start the year, and he takes inside ball 1.
That was one thing, Ronnie, when I was very much uneasy when we played the Cardinals in the 80s because of all those stolen base guys. And I was the guy holding them on at first base. But you guys kept your cool. You had to, but you had to pay attention because they had all those base stealers. And I was always amazed how it didn't affect your performance.
It was tough, though, I'm telling you. Very distracting.
Syndergaard with a good view of Phillips as he wanders off second, and this time Cabrera made a move to the bag. So Phillips is definitely getting Syndergaard's attention. Whether that proves to be a distraction or not, we'll see.
I think that it's the job of the shortstop here, Cabrera, to come in tight behind him to hold the runner. Breathe down his back.
Schebler takes a fastball strike, 1-1.
You know, the thing about the Cardinal base runners in those days, Coleman and McGee and others, they were so fast. You really just concentrated on doing your part to keep them close, but that's all you could do, because if they got a good jump, no one was going to throw them out.
I wonder whether it's more of a distraction for somebody like you, who was generally very good at holding runners on, or more for a pitcher who has difficulty like Syndergaard or like Doc Gooden did. 2-1 to Schebler.
I think, you know, for Doc, you know, he just concentrated on, if he throws his good stuff, no one's going to hit it. So I think he did a good job of not letting him rattle him at all, because they knew even a guy on second base, 2 outs, you just strike out the next hitter.
So isn't that the situation that Syndergaard's really in?
Exactly the same.
Ronnie's in the top 5 of all the pitchers of the right-handers with the best move to first base. Quickest.
There goes Phillips. The pitch inside. No throw by d'Arnaud, and Phillips steals third. Third stolen base of the year for Phillips, so that gets the tying run to third with 1 out. And a 3-1 count to Schebler.
Well,
Rocco did not follow.
He's been itching to steal.
Well, Keith, you were talking yesterday about it being a veteran on a team that's trying to find its way and show the younger players how to play. Phillips came to play today.
And we've seen him more than a few days where he didn't come to play. But he is quite a player.
Syndergaard trying to get locked back in behind on Schebler, 3-1 with the pitcher on deck. And Schebler pops it up. Not going to get the run in. Cabrera reels it in for the second out. There's a big out for Syndergaard. Now 2 out, and the pitcher coming up, because the Reds just about every day bat the pitcher 8th.
Well, when you got a pitcher out here that is one of the best, right down the middle here, just beat him. You really got to get the runs in. When you get your opportunities against the big guns, boy, you cannot squander them.
Well, Brian Price bats his pitcher 8th, and this is one of those situations where you might rue that decision, especially with a pitcher like Iglesias, who's just 2 for 38 in his big league career. 0 for 8 this season.
Only 1 strikeout. He's making contact.
Phillips at third, Mesoraco at first. Yeah, only 1 strikeout, but he hasn't faced Syndergaard.
Well, I just brought it up to all those guys that they don't care about strikeouts. You put the ball in the play, anything can happen.
Plus, you got a guy like Hamilton. If he was hitting 8th instead of 9th, an infield hit is a problem.
Right.
You'd have to have the corners in, particularly David, on a guy like Hamilton.
Late swing foul. Now it's 0-2.
What if you have to take out insurance if you're going to sit behind the dugout on the when Syndergaard's pitching? Rockets going in the stands.
"20 pitches in the inning already for Noah. After a very easy first inning, he's ahead on Iglesias, 0-2. He taps one down first. Nice play by Duda. Side retired. So there's a late swing by Iglesias, and Duda had to make a nice play to get Syndergaard through the inning. Holding the runner, short hop. No problem for Duda. 1-0 New York. But this is the second straight day where the opposing manager has called the crew chief over after the first inning to have a long and animated conversation. And Brian Price getting the attention of Jerry Davis. I have no idea what it's about. You guys have any clue?
I don't. Little gamesmanship on Brian Price to say, listen, he's not going to come out unless he sees something that he wants the umpires to take a peek at. Usually it has to do with the starting pitcher, but it might not be the case here.
Maybe we get SNY to maybe hire a lip reader. Well, we can get to the bottom of this.
Well, we can get Steve Gelbs to try and do it if he's up yet.
Oh! Where is Gelbsy? Oh, I see him.
Here's Alejandro De Aza leading off the home second, and he takes a curveball high. De Aza getting the start in center field today, with Cespedes still sidelined with the bruised leg. Juan Lagares got the last 2 starts in center field.
Oh!
And De Aza has to move his feet in a hurry.
Boy, that is a case of a pitcher making a correction. He tried to go in on Conforto, bled back over. He said, I'm making sure this one's inside.
Held got him in the knee.
Yeah.
Iglesias gave up 3 straight 2-out hits, including Conforto's home run in the first. And he's behind on De Aza 3-0. Travis d'Arnaud hitting 8th in the order. Syndergaard behind him as the Mets bat in the second against Iglesias. There's a strike. We mentioned Raisel Iglesias was the opening day starter for the Reds. Not the first Cuban pitcher ever to start on opening day for Cincinnati. That's pulled down to first, and Votto bails out, and De Aza is safe at first. A shot, and Votto, the former Gold Glover, was down.
Well, he didn't get in front. And kind of tough to get in front. I don't know why he did a slide there. But didn't make the play. That's a bullet. But he's mad at himself for not making the play.
First Citi Field hit for Alejandro De Aza as a Met. And now Travis d'Arnaud. Travis showed some signs of life during the road trip. 5 for 18 the last 4 games after a dreadful start. And he takes low ball 1. Anyway, the Reds back in the 1920s had a pitcher from Cuba named Dolph Luque, who twice was their opening day starter, 1921, 1928.
L-U-C-Q-U-E?
L-U-Q-U-E.
Okay.
Dolph Luque.
You know, it's interesting in between innings. Dan Worthen was talking with Noah Syndergaard and Travis d'Arnaud. The only thing I saw that inning is that they really were so deliberate with guys on base. You want to keep your rhythm going, and that maybe is what Dan is addressing with the battery.
That's ripped foul by d'Arnaud.
Oh, tough. Tough had to pull the ejector button there. I never saw him move so quick.
Well, what can the catcher do for you to speed up the process?
Well,
talking about that.
You know, I was lucky I had the great Gary Carter behind the plate, so that never was an issue. But later, after Gary left the Mets, I started to call the pitches in between pitches to the catcher to get it quicker.
Little curveball dribbled out for Mesoraco to handle. And he gets d'Arnaud at first as De Aza moves up to second.
And how would I do that? If I threw a pitch away, I would look at the catcher. Nice play by Mesoraco. Good quickness. Nice quickness. I would look at the catcher while the hitter was looking down, fastening their gloves or whatever, and I'd look inside. And that let him know I wanted to throw a fastball inside. Stuff like that you would do, so he'd know what to call.
But it's hard for a young guy like Syndergaard to do that.
Of course. No, you know, he's just.
So what can they do to tighten up the process now?
I think that for d'Arnaud, the catcher, he should take it upon himself to really start the sequence as quickly as he can. Don't sit there and wait. Or
wasn't part of the problem that the running game is controlled from the dugout and that he has to get the signs about whether they're going to throw over or try pickoff play at second before he can even think about what pitch he's going to call?
Two problems. That's one, and two, that Syndergaard throws 4 pitches. You know, so if Syndergaard doesn't like what he calls, you have to go around 3 more times maybe.
Well, they know that Syndergaard can swing a bat. Yet again, another Met starter that can swing the bat. And the word has got around the league that these are not easy outs.
No, was 0 for 3 to start the season. 196 career hitter. He's got Diaza at second with 1 out. And Iglesias also taking a lot of time with a runner at second.
Good eye. These Mets pitchers who can hit, and they all can hit, they would do well to use that curve mold machine you've been talking about, Keith, because they're going to see a lot of breaking pitches.
We've got some great low angles tonight.
Beautiful.
Now I like this pose right here. I think that's cool. It's a pitcher who's like he's squatting down like a catcher. I love it.
Can fit all those graphics in.
And all the letters in his name.
That's right.
And no, it takes strike 3 called. Surprised him with a fastball. And there's the 3rd strikeout for Iglesias. Mets pitchers recorded 57 strikeouts last week against the Phillies and Braves, meaning fans can now save 57% on tickets this homestand now through May 4th at Citi Field. Tickets are available in select seating areas on a first-come, first-served basis while supplies last. To purchase tickets, visit Mets.com/strikeouts.
Oh, fans, you got to take advantage of that. Holy cow, 57 off. Jeez. Where are those select seats?
Here's Granderson with a runner at second and 2 out. I still want to know what would have happened if the Mets had struck out 100 batters last week. Come on down.
You can't rescind. Well, on second thought.
I mean, I'm sure that the ticket people were rooting for the pitchers to do well, but maybe not quite that well. 1-1 to Granderson. Raisel Iglesias, who battled some shoulder tendonitis last year, spent 6 weeks on the disabled list, but had himself a nice rookie season. 16 starts for the Reds. 4.15 ERA. Off his glove, rolling into no man's land, and everybody's safe. An infield hit for Granderson. And the Mets have runners at the corners with 2 out.
Well, the speed fooled Iglesias here. It's a cue ball off the end of the bat.
Yep.
He gets in a nice fielding position. He's a converted shortstop, so he can field his position, but the speed got him.
So Diaza at third and Granderson at first with 2 out. And David Wright with a chance for a 2-out RBI. That's now 5 hits through the first 10 batters against Raisel Iglesias. David struck out looking his first time up. And a slider in for a strike. You know, the Mets went 7-2 on their just completed road trip, averaged 6 runs per game, hit 23 home runs, tying a record for the most they've ever hit on a road trip.
Wow.
Which, by the way, they set last year. And they had a lot of players who had a terrific time of it in those 3 cities. Now hoping to translate that into home success. David fouls one off. The Mets playing their second homestand of the year. They went 2-4 on their first homestand after dominating at Citi Field last season, which they certainly hope to do again.
And it's just interesting, to a man, Terry Collins said that everyone felt because they were in better weather, nice, smaller ballparks, they were getting their batting practice in every day because the weather was accommodating. That was the big difference.
Well, it's a comfortable night tonight, and the wind is not blowing in the way it often does in April. That may arrive tomorrow.
Well, they wanted to come inside with a fastball on David, 0-1 after the breaking ball, go ahead 0-1. He missed away, Ronnie, and then Mesoraco sat up back inside. So let's see what they do to Dave. They got a pitch to waste here. They're going to go away.
David lays off the slider, 1-2. Michael Conforto on deck. And the way Michael is swinging the bat, you know this is the guy Iglesias has got to go after. One-two to right, and David goes down on the high slider to end the inning. 4 strikeouts in the first 2 innings for Iglesias. That's enabled him to sidestep some traffic. It stays 1-0 New York as we go to the 3rd at Citi Field. $25 gas card. Just follow SNY on Twitter during the 5th inning of tonight's game for details on how to enter the SNY 5th inning sweepstakes presented by Tri-State Ford. Billy Hamilton will lead off against Noah Syndergaard in the 3rd. Hamilton hitting 9th in the order. In the lineup for the first time in 5 games. He had been sitting with a sore left thumb. He pinch hit yesterday and struck out. That was his first appearance in 4 days. Hamilton, a speedster who is a lifetime .226 hitter, trying to bunt his way on, pops one up, gets it past Syndergaard, and he's aboard.
That is beautiful. Perfect.
That's one way to do it.
Now, did he mean to pop it up? I would have to say no.
Well, Syndergaard had to deal with Phillips on base in the last inning. Now he's going to deal with a better base stealer in Hamilton.
It's like a 60-degree wedge here.
Yeah, this is your lob wedge, Keith. Walker, nothing he could do.
Zach Cozart, the batter. Hamilton 2 stolen bases so far this year after 57 last year. He now has 128 stolen bases in his career, which leaves him.
extra hits would you have, Keith? Oh, could run like that.
Oh, let me see. As a lifetime 297 hitter, I probably would have been a 308, 306.
Here he goes.
He's got it too.
Darno doesn't even bother throwing. Third stolen base of the year for Hamilton. So that's career stolen base number 129.
Too quick. Too quick a jump. Too much speed. And right now, Noah's just got to just forget about it and just get the hitters here. You got an offense that's been on full cylinders, all cylinders, excuse me. Can't let it disrupt you.
But it is.
Well, he was much more efficient last year.
Great improvement.
So with 129 steals in his career, he's now only 785 behind the Hall of Famer Billy Hamilton, who concluded his career in 1901. The guy who was known as Slidin' Billy Hamilton.
Well, this Billy Hamilton had to slide back into second base. What's interesting to watch here is that I know the infield is trying to keep Hamilton close. There's a lot of fake pickoffs by Syndergaard. All of this things are breaking up his rhythm that we've seen has been so good the first 3 starts.
There goes Hamilton stealing third. The throw by Darno is not in time, and Hamilton able to stay on the bag with that sore left hand. So he steals second, steals third, and he's there with nobody out.
I would let Noah go in his windup right now, Ron. Get his rhythm back. You're conceding the run. Take your windup.
Unless Hamilton pulls an Ellsbury. Tries to steal home.
Clearly safe.
He's got that little protective kind of padding on his left hand.
So 3 stolen bases against Syndergaard tonight. He's now given up 21 in his career with only 2 runners caught. Infield back. They concede the run on a ground ball. And Cozart lifts one to center. That'll get the run in easily. De Aza back. Pulls it in for the out. Hamilton trots in to score, so speed pays for Billy Hamilton. Bunt single, steal second, steal third, and he comes home on the sac fly to tie the game.
And he pilfered a run there.
Back in the day, we called that a Reyes run.
There you go.
It's a Billy Hamilton run.
You know, the problem for Noah with the way Hamilton and others, Brandon Phillips, are running with the Reds is that in 2 innings now.
Wright snags that grounder off the bat of Suarez and throws him out. Nicely done, David Wright. 2 out.
In 2 innings, he's given up 3 infield hits, and he's been in trouble both innings. Big trouble.
David always with that tongue out. I'm always afraid he's going to bite it off one day. Nice play.
Yeah, it worked for Jordan.
Yes, it did.
Well, you know what? I think that he's got to focus on keeping Phillips and Hamilton off the base.
Yeah.
You just keep him off. Get him out.
Here's Joey Votto. And he takes a strike. Votto got confused on a changeup his first time up and hit a check swing grounder and was thrown out.
Hasn't seen a fastball yet. There's his first fastball. And a good one.
When Joey was struggling last week, he said, you know, my swing is like a Ferrari. Sometimes it takes a while to tune it up.
Whoa. Okay.
But, you know, once that Ferrari gets cooking, it generates some horsepower. Well, 21 lifetime on base percentage. That is spectacular.
He got criticized a couple years ago after his MVP. It was the MVP and batting champ.
MVP in 2010.
About walking too much.
Check swing. He didn't go around.
So you notice this is the first time I've seen off Noah this season, and we're very early in the year. where you can't go up there wailing on him. You have to be compact. He's got a guy that's overpowering, good breaking stuff. You got to go up there and really focus and short swing, a compact swing. And this is what I'm seeing with the Reds right now. They're putting some good at bats against them.
2-2 to Votto. This is high with a fastball, full count. Brandon Phillips would be next. Votto asks for time.
I think if you come in to face Noah for the first time, all you've heard about is the 100 miles an hour. But if you face him, you go, wait a minute, this is a complete pitcher. And that's what he's made himself into.
3-2.
Yes.
Got him looking. Side retired. Third strikeout for Syndergaard. Reds steal a run. Mets have Conforto to lead off in the bottom of the third. 1-1 ball game. Syndergaard getting debriefed after Billy Hamilton stole a run from him. Michael Conforto will lead off the bottom of the third. Conforto provided the Mets run with a long home run to right center in the first inning. In fact, all three of Conforto's home runs this year have come in the first inning.
It's pretty interesting. A little moxie on this kid Iglesias. Took a home run last time up on a fastball, came right back and started him off with a fastball for a strike.
Poked the other way, and that's going to fall into left field for a base hit. And Conforto's 2 for 2. There doesn't seem to be one way to pitch him.
They're mixing it up. This ball's out of the strike zone. He chased out after that moving fastball or change, not sure, but he stays in.
If you've been a third hitter your whole life, what are you facing? Every college kid, every high school kid is throwing you breaking balls. You end up being a good breaking ball hitter.
I didn't realize he's got Cepeda's number 30.
Nolan Ryan's number with the Mets. So it's a powerful number.
Oh, 30. Cha-cha. The baby bull, Orlando Cepeda.
Duda had a first pitch base hit to right field his first time up, and takes a first pitch curveball outside. That's now of 6 hits against Iglesias, who's been able to sidestep trouble in each of the first 2 innings. other than the Conforto home run. Michael snuck his first stolen base of the year during the road trip. First of his career. Duda cranks one to deep right field. Forget it. That is long, long gone. Lucas Duda with a 2-run homer. His 4th of the year. And the Mets now have a 3-1 lead. Every home run Lucas has hit this year has been a no-doubter. Hit 3 in Philly, and now he cranks one at Citi Field to put the Mets back in front.
When he gets hot, he is sizzling hot, Keith.
What's that now? 25 home runs in the last 10 ball games and still running. That's just incredible home run power, and that's that change up.
Change up.
He's going to have to pitch inside a little more to those left-hand hitters, keep them honest. Lucas stays back nicely. Remember, the big adjustment he made in spring training was he minimized his leg kick. Very well done. When you're strong like that.
Minimizing the leg kick produces better balance.
Better balance. Gets his foot down quicker.
So the Mets, after a home run laden road trip, come home, and the home runs continue. Conforto a solo shot in the first, Duda a 2-run homer in the third. Mets have now hit 27 home runs. This is their 18th game.
Incredible. And they got off to a terrible start with the home run scare.
Only 2 in the first 8 games.
Right. But 8 games is nothing in the course of when you look in the whole scheme of things.
Now 25 in the last 10 games. 2-2 to Walker. Marcell Iglesias had given up just 2 home runs total in his first 4 starts, and now he's given up 2 in the first 3 innings tonight.
Both those home runs in Cincinnati might have been in the river.
Walker pops one up, and Phillips takes charge of it. 1 out. Closed captioning for Mets baseball brought to you by Sideline. Now it's Dribble Cabrera. Retired on a grounder up the first baseline his first time up. Iglesias went to tag him, and Cabrera ran out of the baseline and was called out. Marcell Iglesias faced the Rockies his last time out last Wednesday. 2 runs in 6 2/3. Then the Reds went to Chicago, and, well, it was a rather historic series, beginning with the Jake Arrieta no-hitter on Thursday. Cubs took 3 out of 4 in that series. Cincinnati comes in at 9-10 on the year. Cabrera trying to bunt his way on. He's already done that successfully once this year with the infield shifted.
But the successful bunt and the attempt there is going to, until 2 strikes, keep at least that shortstop in against Cabrera.
A lot of times when they shift, they'll leave that third baseman in for the first strike and then move him back. But if you show that you'll bunt with 1 strike, then they're forced to alter that maneuver. Cabrera bounces it foul. Reds have a multitude of starting pitching on the disabled list, which is, well, it's why Iglesias got the opening day start. And right now he is at the front of this Cincinnati rotation. Strikes out Cabrera. That's 5 strikeouts now for Iglesias. And pitching was a big problem for the Reds last year. In fact, the last 64 games of the season were started by rookie pitchers, which was a major league record. And one of the reasons they lost 98 games last year. They also lost Zach Cozart and Devin Mesoraco to season-ending injuries in the middle of the year. Joey Votto had a bounce-back year, but Jay Bruce had his second straight down year. Bruce has gotten off to a good start this year, but away from the team right now on paternity leave.
Let me tell you something. When you lose 90 games, it's not fun coming to the ballpark.
And they obviously lost two headliners in Aroldis Chapman and Todd Frazier in the offseason as they start to retool.
Frazier seems like he's getting hotter there for the White Sox. Started off slow.
White Sox off to a great start.
Yeah.
They're 13-6 to start the year. I don't think anybody had that in the pool. But their pitching has been phenomenal.
Well, Latos has come out of nowhere after, what, did he have 4 wins all of last year, and he has 4 already.
4-0, 0.74. It's a good start for a guy who got a bargain basement contract. Well, the Reds went from a playoff team in 2012 and 2013 to 76 and then 64 wins, which was pretty good evidence it was time to retool.
Well, that 2012 season was a bitter pill to swallow. They won the first 2 games in San Francisco in the division series and lost 3 at home, culminating with the Posey grand slam in Game 5 off Latos.
Schebler moves over to his right and snags the fly ball from De Aza to end the inning, but the Mets regain the lead. Lucas Duda with his first Citi Field home run of the year, his 4th of the season, a 2-run shot, and that puts the Mets up 3-1 as we go to the 4th. Brought to you by the 2017 Audi A4 and your tri-state Audi dealers. Good crowd for a Monday night at Citi Field. Opening game of a 9-game homestand. That's with a 3-1 lead. Noah Syndergaard faces Brandon Phillips to lead the 4th. And he takes a slider for a strike. Phillips had an infield hit, wound up stealing 3rd, but was stranded there in the 2nd inning. 3 stolen bases in the first 3 innings against Syndergaard. The 2nd and 3rd led to a run as Billy Hamilton stole 2nd and 3rd and came home on a sac fly. So Syndergaard lit up the radar gun in Philadelphia at 100+ 12 times. He's yet to hit triple digits tonight. When you have the ability to do that, is there the danger of getting obsessed with seeing triple digits on the gun?
I would say if you asked me a year ago, I would say maybe. But I think he is in full command of what he's doing out there. His body language tells me that. He's about getting outs. The other people can worry about the 100.
Now
again off his foot.
Well, that one really hurt. First one he was able to shake off.
Little runner in. That's off the shin, and that hurts. That does hurt. That'll drop you. That and off the inside ankle bone, which you can do on a hard sinker, off your inner ankle. Oh,
where that bulb is.
Oh.
See, you're having flashbacks. That's what we're talking about.
Candlestick. Oh, you know, old Jerry Park in Montreal.
All right, so Ronnie, you've got a hitter in this situation. What's the best way to take advantage of that?
Oh, throw one right more back in there. Test his manhood. Ooh.
Oh, he didn't want to stay in.
Hard swing at the slider. His heart was not in it.
If he threw a good one down and away, it was lights out. Make a right-hand turn into that dugout.
He just talks to himself.
And another thing, when you get hit on your ankles and your toes or your shin, you have the shakes with your feet, the foot that's hit.
Got him up and in, and I think he hit him.
And he's going to steal a base.
Got him on the hand. Well, that was a very painful at bat for Brandon Phillips.
This was like
got him on the left hand, and he's having trouble moving it.
15 rounds with Rocky Marciano getting clobbered.
So that ball going down and in, it came up and in, and Phillips could not get out of the way. Boy, right off his fingers. That is not a good sign.
A foul ball off his foot, a foul ball off his ankle, and then a fastball off his hand. And a great deal of concern for Brandon Phillips.
He's going to leave.
He's coming out of the game.
I knew that.
First batter Syndergaard has hit this year. Now, let me ask you this, Ronnie, as a pitcher. The first time Phillips got on base, he kind of drove Syndergaard crazy with his dancing off the bag, eventually stealing third. Is there any connection between that and the inside pitches he saw in this at bat?
No, that inside pitch there was just a miss by Noah. The call by Syndergaard was a sinker and two-seamer. He wanted to throw the same pitch that he'd been fouling off his foot, but he overthrew it a little, and that's why it ended up and in. I don't think he was trying to send a message. Did he want to send a message that he was going to try to break his bat? Yeah. That's the message, but he didn't want to hit anybody to start an inning.
So Ivan DeJesus will run for Phillips and then presumably stay in the game at second base. Here's Devin Mesoraco, who had an infield hit his first time, and he hits one foul. He was looking to turn on one quickly and turned too quickly.
Mesoraco's had the best at bat off of Syndergaard. He's had some pretty good cuts. Got to pitch him with a little respect.
So the Reds, who are already shorthanded without their regular right fielder Jay Bruce, is away on paternity leave, lose their second baseman Phillips after being hit. Curveball hit out to left. Conforto froze for a moment. Now it comes on. That's the first down. Mesoraco is retired. You see the last two starts for Syndergaard, both dominating efforts against the Marlins and the Phillies. beat the Reds twice last year in his rookie season.
Yeah, and both in different ways. The prior start on April 12th, he did it with that good hard slider that he brought from the Kansas City game. But the game against the Phillies, he used the curveball more. The slider has not been a good pitch so far early in this game.
I want to get back to the radar gun for a moment.
Yeah.
Talk about Syndergaard. Do you think it's coincidental that there are no postings of the pitch speeds in the ballpark tonight, whereas there usually are?
I don't think anything is coincidental. I think if there's something not out there that's usually out there, a decision has to be made. I would honestly say, now I wasn't a hard thrower, but I would want no need to have the speed I'm throwing and let the people know the speed I'm throwing.
That having been said, most ballparks now, the speed is posted, and you know the fans kind of get into it, right? They ooh and ah about the 99s and the 100s, and it seems like there was a conscious decision made by the organization not to post the pitch speeds tonight with Syndergaard on the mound, which I think is interesting.
Yeah, it's interesting. I wouldn't worry about him too much. And I know you can try to manage around a young player, but I think he's shown you in the last 12 months that he's done all the maturing you want any young pitcher to do, and then some.
Is it even possible that maybe Syndergaard asked that the pitches speeds not be posted?
I've seen it happen before where pitchers don't like to see it up on the scoreboard, but I also have seen pitchers who can't wait for it to be on the scoreboard. So I know personally I would not want it on there.
I mean, it could just be that the pitch speed feature is not functional tonight, but it's the first time that I can remember at Citi Field that they haven't posted the pitch speeds. I'm just wondering whether it's a coincidence or not. 0-2 to Adam Duvall, who struck out his first time up. It's taken low. I know that they do use the same radar gun that we use on our broadcast, and ours is fully functional.
Well, it's just been interesting to see the Reds. The way they've been taking the slider, Keith, it's been a little better than the Royals and the Marlins. They really had a tough time identifying that pitch. The Reds so far have done a better job.
1-2 to Duvall.
They've made him work. They're taking good cuts on his fastball. Oh, you know, it's not going to be a gravy train and a little sleigh ride down in the park, you know, every time.
Now the 1-2, and it gets behind Darno, and down to second base goes to Jesus. So the curveball in the dirt, squirting by Darno. It'll be a wild pitch charged to Syndergaard.
He just didn't get down here. One under his glove. Yep.
5-hole.
Oh, it scooted too. Did you notice that?
Yep. Skipped.
Yep.
Two coming. And struck him out with the curveball. 2 out. Fourth strikeout for Noah.
So maybe just like his last start where the slider was being identified by the hitters, maybe he's going to mix in a few more curveballs against the right-handed hitter. That one with a little bigger break to Duvall.
Well, I've always said he throws so darn hard that if he throws that high fastball and that hard slider in the dirt, doesn't have to throw a strike.
Now Scott Schebler with a runner at second and 2 out. Well, after our speculation about the radar gun, we decided to ask.
Okay.
And apparently we have been told that the radar gun in the ballpark is not functional, and they're working hard to fix it.
Okay.
Oh. I like those two names right there.
So put away your conspiracy theory. 1-0 to Schebler.
Well, the pace of this game with back in that second inning with Brandon Phillips, the stolen base, and then Hamilton has really slowed down. And though Syndergaard is throwing well, I think it kind of just threw him a little off.
Well, it's interesting. That was the 60th pitch, right? So he's well within the pitch count you would like. But it seemed like he's thrown more because of the length of the innings.
And you got to give the Reds hitters some credit. They put some quality at bats up against him.
Pitcher Iglesias on deck, hitting in the 8 hole, so that gives Syndergaard a little breathing room here with first base open as he pitches to Schebler. And he throws a breaking ball on 2-1, and it's pulled foul. Change up.
Got it up. Not a good pitch. Can't be perfect.
Syndergaard has struck out 4. And he needs a conversation with Darno.
Just some indecision and inability to work quickly with the guy on second base between Darno and Syndergaard so far in this game.
Check out every out-of-market game live. MLB.tv Premium, the #1 live streaming sports service. Watch every out-of-market game live in HD on over 400 supported devices. 2-2. Just missed with the slider. Full count to Schebler.
Schebler's built a little bit like Jay Bruce, isn't he? Same kind of body type.
So you've got 3 and 2 with the pitcher on deck, first base open. It's got to affect your pitch selection here, doesn't it?
Absolutely. You don't need to throw a strike.
And he strikes him out with a slider to end the inning. Back-to-back strikeouts for Syndergaard to strand the pinch runner to Jesus in scoring position. 5 strikeouts on the night for Noah, and a 3-1 Met lead in the 4th. On to Jesus, who pinch ran, stays in the game at second base after Brandon Phillips was forced to leave the game. Travis d'Arnaud leading off the home 4th. Travis hit a dribbler and was thrown out by the catcher his first time up. And Iglesias falls behind him 2-0. Noah Syndergaard on deck, and Darno takes outside 3-0.
Well, Worthen talking to Syndergaard before he's going to go up for the at bat. The one thing that's different than in my day is the pitching coach. Almost every inning, they love to have a conversation.
Rounded down to third. Suarez has it. No throw. And Darno retired, one away.
I wonder if Worthen was telling him to watch himself here coming up the bat.
Syndergaard took a call third strike his first time up. Iglesias has given up a couple of home runs tonight. Struck out 5 over the first 3 and a third.
Nice.
Syndergaard fouls one off.
Nice cut. It's interesting how the Mets starting rotation. You got DeGrom and Syndergaard, who are right-handed and hit left, and you've got Matz that's a left-hander and hits right.
Wheeler.
That's right. Forgot about him.
Right. He's a right-hand pitcher, left-hand hitter. Three and one, so Iglesias falling behind his first 2 hitters here in the 4th inning. Noah takes a rip. 3-2. Inside, ball 4, and Syndergaard draws a walk. First walk given up tonight by Iglesias, and it goes to the opposing pitcher. Well, Syndergaard and Iglesias were right at the top of the heap among Major League rookies last year in strikeouts per 9 innings.
McCullers hasn't thrown for Houston this year, has he?
Boy, and Houston is off to a terrible start. They're in last place in that AL West.
6-13 after losing that 12-inning game last night. Well, what's fortunate for the Astros is there's nobody off to a hot start in that AL West. Granderson takes a strike, 1-1. Curtis 1 for 2.
It's good to see the White Sox playing well for Robin Ventura.
Now with 1 strike on Granderson, they alter their shift and bring Suarez over to the right side. And Granderson trying to take advantage with the bunt, but he fouls it off. Well, we haven't seen Curtis try to do that with all the shifts that they play against him. But he figured now would be an opportune time.
I tell you what, you're a leadoff hitter, and they're giving you that line. Absolutely a terrific idea. He puts it down that third base line. It's first and second. And remember, the 1 and 2 hitters are your table setters.
Albeit a guy who can hit 25 home runs for you.
Yes.
1-2. Popped it up into shallow center. Hamilton calling. Syndergaard back to first, 2 out.
Oh, here we go.
The horses are on the track.
Ron Darling on Lucky Lady.
You know about this, don't you, Keith? That Ronnie and I are going to be doing a celebrity harness race this summer.
No.
Yes. I'm going to be sulky in my silks.
We're going to get custom-made racing silks and everything.
Really? In Met blue and orange?
Now, I don't know about that. They didn't tell us about the colors.
I've
never been, in a sulky behind a a trotter before.
I'm a little upset I wasn't asked. What's wrong? Jeez.
You get all the other good stuff.
My guess would be, Keith, that you were asked and you said no.
No, I wasn't. This is news to me.
Really?
Yeah.
Toward the middle, Kozar with the diving stop, and he gets the out to end the inning.
So much for the game.
David Wright denied the base hit. Gotta get used to racing silks. 3-1 Mets after 4. State Ford dealers who invite you to test drive a new Ford. You'll discover why Ford is the total package. Earlier today, Steve Gelbs had a chance to catch up with Mets manager Terry Collins to talk about his phenomenal right-hander Noah Syndergaard.
Terry, it's no secret that Noah Syndergaard has electric stuff, but how far has he come in not just throwing those pitches, but knowing when to utilize each one of his weapons?
Well, he is he studies what he's got to do pretty hard, and he's always asking questions to Dan before a game, and certainly when they have their meeting today, he'll come up with a game plan that suits him tonight. But what he has right now is the confidence that he can make the pitches he needs to make to get big outs. When you come up with the stuff Noah Syndergaard has, you could certainly say, look, I got here with my stuff. I'm going to stay with it. But he didn't. He said, look, I know I need to get better. What do I need to do? Took a couple of ideas that Dan had and has applied them, and now he's off the charts.
Off the charts indeed. That is where he stands early in this season. Taking his game to an entirely different level. What's the most important thing you've seen him do since he got here that's made him a better pitcher?
I think that his maturity, I think his tenaciousness. I think when he first came up at starting Chicago, he had kind of that wide open look, wide-eyed look, like, boy, I'm on the big stage. Totally opposite of what you've seen this season. He is determined, maturity off the charts, command off the charts.
Strikes out the pitcher Iglesias, his third consecutive strikeout, one out of the fifth.
And I don't know, there's different levels for professional athletes. Everyone has confidence, and it comes and goes, right? Waves. The great players have it all the time, but the great players, Keith and others, they have belief. And that is, it doesn't matter if you have a down moment, because they have belief that they're better and they're always going to get the job done. That's the greatest level to get to. Seems like he might be there at a young age. That's what's remarkable to me.
Only Hamilton forced to move his feet. Well, I'll tell you what, a lot of young pitchers, after they hit a batter the way Syndergaard hit Phillips, right, resist coming inside. Not Syndergaard.
Well, Keith had the word. He said he's unflappable. I don't think he even thinks 2 seconds about what we're addressing right here. If he throws it inside, his thought is, well, I missed. I'm going to come back inside and throw one for a strike.
Billy Hamilton, a bunt single, 2 steals, and a run scored his first time, and he takes a slider for a strike, 1-1.
It's good to get those hitters to move their feet. And, you know, he's wild around the plate is the term in baseball. Syndergaard is not wild. It's okay once in a while to come inside. Let those hitters that think that, hey, you might let one go and not like that. Gets their attention. They may not hang in there.
Well, as he said after he threw the up and in pitch to Alcides Escobar in the World Series, if the hitters have a problem with it, I'm available 60 feet, 6 inches away.
Yeah, that was great.
Ground ball past Syndergaard, but Walker has it on the backhand and throws out Hamilton 2 away. There's a big out for Syndergaard, who had such a problem with Hamilton on the running game when he got aboard in the 3rd. He has solved that problem by only allowing 1 base runner since, and that's when he drilled Phillips in the hand with a pitch. So here's Cozart, who drove in the run with a sac fly in the 3rd. 0 for 1 on the day. Syndergaard has struck out 6, walked none, and a first pitch curveball for a strike.
So 82 on the curveball, 92 on the slider, 90 on the changeup, 97 plus on the fastball.
And here's the thing. All those numbers are down from his last start when he was throwing 101 with the fastball and 94 with the slider.
I think that 2nd and 3rd inning just kind of threw him off a little bit, threw him off his rhythm. The stolen bases by the 3 stolen bases in this game.
0-2. Will tap her down to 3rd. Wright waits for it, bare hands it, and makes the throw on target to get Cozart side retired. 1-2-3 inning for Noah Syndergaard. Halfway through, 3-1 New York. Home 5th inning, 3rd at bat for Michael Conforto, who's already 2 for 2. A home run and a bloop single to left. Facing Raisel Iglesias, who gets the curveball over for a strike. Conforto, Duda, and Walker for the Mets. Mets have hit 2 home runs tonight. Already their 8th game this year with at least 2 home runs. 8 times in their first 18 games. Here's your 4th, 5th inning recap. Last year it took the Mets 37 games into the season before they had their 8th multiple home run game. So they are hitting home runs at a much more prodigious pace.
Ooh. 2 good pitches right there. Good breaking. That's his best one he's thrown to a lefty. Good down tilt. You see, Conforto has the ability to know a pitcher's pitch and just take it and be willing to go 1 and 2 in battle. Very ahead of the game.
Stands him up 2-2. 91. That's about where Iglesias is topped out tonight.
See if he doubles up inside.
He's going to go back to that curveball.
No, he's going back in, Keith. You're right.
Yep. Just missed.
Missed inside. He was walking off as though he thought he had the strikeout.
It missed.
Mesoraco brought it in late. Maybe now the 3-2 breaking ball.
He wouldn't throw a change.
Again, the 3-2 and the curveball fly down the left field line. Only one infielder there. Cozart trying to get to it, and he gets there.
Oh! Can't make the play, and it's a fair ball bouncing into the stands for a ground rule double.
Wow.
Now Cozart got there. Normally, was that Suarez?
Suarez, the third baseman, playing on the left side by himself, and just not a normal angle for him to be going after the ball. He couldn't make the play, and it landed right on the chalk. And it's a double for Conforto.
You're living right here. 3 for 3.
Corey Blazer.
Take it any way you can get it.
So the Mets have a leadoff runner at second. And here's Duda, who's 2 for 2, a single and a 2-run homer. His 4th home run of the year.
Hustling, that's good. We love it. There you go.
Tight to Duda, 1-1.
Both lineups are making both pitchers work pretty hard tonight. It's very rare we see this, all the strikeouts today. It's nice to see pitchers having to really work hard to make it outs.
Ball dribbled foul. SNY's Super Slow Motion is brought to you by your Mercedes-Benz Tri-State dealers. Mercedes-Benz, the best or nothing. 83 pitches now for Iglesias in the 5th inning. Brian Price would like to push him as far as he can. The Reds bullpen has been dreadful. Duda hits one toward the middle with the diamond. Cozart playing there. The off-balance throw is on target. Votto with a good stretch stays on the bag, and Conforto goes to third.
Well, it advances the runner. And the big shift on Lucas. Shortstop on the right side has to make the play. Cozart, nice play by Votto. Stays on the bag.
Well, the Mets almost benefited there. One of the pitches, as you see Votto with the good stretch, kept the toe on there, Keith, is that when you have that shift, it's hard to throw that high fastball he threw to Duda, which is a pitch that left-handers will hit the other way. He almost hit it against the shift.
Reds will bring their infield in now for Neil Walker. 3 infielders on the right side, all at the edge of the grass. Walker's 1 for 2 tonight. Conforto with 3rd and 1 out, and Neil takes ball 1.
I might be inclined to walk the red hot Walker and take my chances with Cabrera and try to get a double play here.
Always seems so awkward when they bring the infield in the overshift like this.
There you have nice angle right there. Different view for you folks.
Curveball drilled down the right field line, and that goes foul.
I think did he lose his bat on the swing?
Walker hitting over 400 the last 7 games with power. And Iglesias gets ahead of him 1-2.
That's a pitch to hit.
Yep. And the catcher's Mizraco's out there to tell him, come on, make your pitch here. It's a big out. Got a 2-run game right here.
Iglesias has struck out 5. He could use a strikeout here.
Coming in.
1-2 to Walker. And he got him looking. There's a big strikeout for Iglesias, his 6th of the night. So Walker can't get the run in. And now there are 2 out.
Well, he wanted to come in. That ball caught a lot of the plate, though.
That changeup run or fastball? So he missed. And got away with it. Out over the plate. Look at Walker right on top of the plate. And had right down the pipe.
So 2 out. The infield drops back for Asdrubal Cabrera, who's 0 for 2 tonight. Struck out his last time up. That's trying not to waste the leadoff double from Conforto. He's the 3rd with 2 down. And the curveball at the feet of Cabrera.
Keith, when Walker takes a pitch like that, is that a freeze frame or is that a guessing breaking ball?
I don't think he's guessing. I really don't. I think it's the movement of the ball probably froze him.
Okay.
So it probably started on the towards the knees, and then it broke out over the plate and froze him. Happens. You're not happy. Nothing gets a hitter more angry than to leave a runner on 3rd base with less than 2 outs.
He hasn't had too many bad at bats.
No. Yep.
Cabrera trying to pick him up. And time called.
Late. That's really the only offensive statistic you can look at, Gary, that the Mets have struggled a little bit in. Runner on 3rd and less than 2 outs. They have not done a great job yet. Early.
One and 1 to Cabrera. And Mizraco knocks it down, keeping Conforto at 3rd. Good news on Brandon Phillips. They took x-rays of his left ring finger. They are negative. So no broken bones for Phillips, who was hit on the hand by a Noah Syndergaard pitch. A hard-working night for Raisel Iglesias. He's had base runners in every inning. Cabrera bounces one foul for 2-2. No action in the Reds bullpen with Cabrera, with Iglesias already up over 90 pitches. He threw 107 in his last outing in 6 2/3 against Colorado. And as we mentioned, with the Reds bullpen struggling, they're trying to push their starters a little further. 2-2 coming, and Cabrera fouls it off.
Well, the Reds have bullpen. Gary has 73 1/3 innings pitched, 2nd most in the National League. And they've walked 45, which is the most in the National League.
Well, their closer was supposed to be J.J. Hoover. He's already lost that job. He's just had a dreadful time with it. That's what Iglesias had done coming into the year. Of course, they were also missing 4 guys who could be in their rotation, including Homer Bell, who's coming back from Tommy John surgery, but also Michael Lorenzen and Anthony DeSclafani, who might have been their opening day starter had he been healthy, but DeSclafani has an oblique injury, so it's just been a combination of things. The bullpens had to work harder because the starters haven't been able to go deep, and the bullpen has suffered. 7th pitch of the at bat coming to Cabrera, 95th of the night for Iglesias, and he just got a piece of that. Stay alive.
That was a good pitch, and that's a hitter just staying in barely right there. You saw the reaction to Iglesias. This is a good breaking ball. Just stayed in the at-bat.
You know, I think one of the important stats that you look at for your starting pitchers is, you know, how many outs are they getting in the game? And, you know, there's a lot of stats right now, but it's hard to judge to me. You can't judge April stats because a lot of times you're holding your pitcher back from going an extra inning because of the weather, because of pitch counts, all those things. Wait till June 1st, then maybe take a look.
Again, the 2-2. And another breaking ball. That's down. Full count to Cabrera with Alejandro De Aza standing on deck. Mets have 8 hits against Iglesias. He's walked 1. That was Syndergaard in the last inning. He struck out 6. And that pitch count starting to build, and it looks like we're going to get some action now in the Reds bullpen.
This is, I want to say it again, this has been a rarity. I've not seen so many good at bats put together against the pitchers tonight.
9th pitch of the at bat upcoming to Cabrera. And he takes inside ball 4. Iglesias not happy. That's his second walk, and the inning continues with runners at first and third. J.C. Ramirez, the former Philly, is up in the Reds bullpen. And the new pitching coach for the Reds, Mark Riggins, will go out to the mound.
30 seconds, down to 22.
He's walking awfully slow.
Well, a lot of times these pitching coaches, when they're coming out, is not really to talk to the pitcher as much as it is to delay, to give Ramirez a chance to get loose. But that is no longer an issue, or you can't do that anymore with the 30-second rule.
I just don't think it's enough time. A pitching coach should be able to add another 15 seconds on that. I mean,
tomorrow night, game 2 of this series. Bartolo Colon goes for the Mets. Lefty Brandon Finnegan, only the second lefty the Mets will see this year, goes for the Phils. There are the city probables. Wednesday night, Matt Harvey against John Moscott in the final game of the series. Then the Giants come in for the weekend, and then the Braves next week. 9 games in all on the homestand before the Mets go west for 11. First and third and 2 down. Here's De Aza, who's 1 for 2. And takes inside from Iglesias, ball 1.
You see Iglesias is just missing on that inside corner to left-hand hitters, and he has to pitch in there to get his dip-de-doo over.
Is that a technical term?
Yes.
Little dabble, do you?
There you go.
De Aza hit a scorcher his first time up that ate up Joey Votto. De Aza making his 5th start of the year, getting the start in center field with Cespedes still hurt. And he takes a breaking ball for a strike, 1-1. So Raisel Iglesias is about to throw his 25th pitch of the inning and his 100th of the night. Conforto at third, Cabrera at first with 2 down. And De Aza takes one the other way toward the line, but foul.
Well, we noted that earlier. In spring training, we noticed with De Aza, who had a terrific spring, and really hasn't had a lot of playing time because he's really the only left-hander on the bench, but he chokes up on the bat. You see very few hitters today choke up.
Have missed a couple pitches this inning. He's leaking oil, as they say, with pitchers that are out there, and a high pitch count through 5 innings, or almost 5 innings for Iglesias.
You know what? You got hitters working these guys. These pitchers are working out here today. They're earning their salary.
Iglesias' career high pitch count was 113. He did that twice last year. 1-2 to De Aza. gets him to end the inning. 7 strikeouts for Iglesias as he extricates himself from trouble in the 5th. Mets have stranded 7 in the first 5 innings. Noah Syndergaard will head back to the mound for the 6th with a 3-1 lead. Raisel Iglesias fighting his way through 5 innings, giving up 3 runs and 8 hits. Noah Syndergaard a little more dominant than that. He has a 3-1 lead as Eugenio Suarez leads off the 6th and takes a knee-high strike. Suarez robbed of a hit by David Wright, who made a nice play going to his left his last time up. Suarez, Votto, and Ivan De Jesus for the Reds in the 6th against Syndergaard, who's fanned 6 over the first 5 innings.
More important, no walks again for Syndergaard. His command of the strike zone improved exponentially from last year.
Suarez lines one into center field for a base hit.
Picked that one off the ground. Nice hitting.
So that's the 4th time in 6 innings the Reds have gotten the leadoff man on against Syndergaard.
That's that slider that just hasn't been as dominant. Kind of spun up there low. You know, I mean, that's not an awful pitch. You have to give tip your cap to the hitter there.
So that gets Joey Votto to the plate as the tying run. Votto's grounded out and struck out tonight, 0 for 2. Now, if you're the Reds, do you keep running against Syndergaard when you have the opportunity here?
Is Suarez a threat? I mean, you just can't run everybody.
Stolen 3 this year.
I would leave the hole open for your big bopper here between 1st and 2nd here, because a base hit to right field sets up a 1st and 3rd. Also, you're down 2 runs. You don't want to run yourself out of an inning.
At the same time, though, it just seems so bothersome to Noah when the steal was in order earlier.
It was, but I think if you've been watching the game, Votto's made 2 outs on changeups. One he took for a strikeout, one he grounded out on. If he's going to be featuring that changeup, although he's thrown 2 fastballs now, that hole is perfect for Votto.
Darno sets up away. Well, it hits the target, but it's outside. 1-2.
You can also attempt to rattle his cage just by taking a real big lead, a big aggressive lead.
Throw over.
Yeah. Yeah, Suarez has not been nearly as flamboyant in his leads as Phillips and Hamilton were earlier. One and two to Votto. Up and away with the fastball at 98. 2-2.
So this is the first time this season that Noah hasn't really had his stuff. He's had the battle. This is a battling outing for him. He's had to fight, and he's fighting.
Oh, missed.
Oh. Got to put some oil in that right arm. Oh.
Syndergaard trying to paint, and Sam Holbrook said no paint.
Thrown into the Tin Man there.
Suarez at first and nobody out. 3-2 to Votto. He's running. Votto strikes out. Darno's throwing a hop, not in time. Suarez steals the base as Votto strikes out for the second time.
Again on the changeup. Out of the strike zone, making a real good hitter chase.
Not a good throw, but it wouldn't have mattered.
So the Reds have their fourth stolen base of the night. Remember, they had 5 in 1 inning.
That's right.
Last week, which set a franchise record. So here's Ivan DeJesus batting for the first time. It's been a very rough start to the year for DeJesus. Just 1 for 21. He came on for Brandon Phillips after Phillips was hit on the hand by a pitch. X-rays proved negative.
Well, here's Darno on the throw, and it's not a good throw. It looks like he just choked the ball.
Yeah, it's like
that's the problem.
Change up.
Yeah, he did.
Suarez getting a healthy lead at second, and the slider off the plate to DeJesus. 2-0.
Yep, he definitely has got a palm ball going on there. That's his problem. So all in all, Sam Holbrook has been kind of a hitter's umpire, but he's been consistent.
Walker makes a run to the bag, but Suarez gets back. Devin Mesoraco waiting on deck. DeJesus takes one the other way for a base hit. Suarez had to hold up to make sure Duda didn't catch it, so he'll stop at third. And the Reds have the tying runs on base, first and third and 1 out. Only the second hit of the year for Ivan DeJesus.
Another good at bat here. That is good hitting. Had to freeze there. Doubled off on a line drive. Nothing you can do.
So now Syndergaard has a situation to deal with. First and third and 1 out, and Devin Mesoraco, who had an infield single in the second, flied out in the fourth. 5 hits now for the Reds tonight. And it's on the inside corner to Mesoraco. The Reds haven't had a ton of base runners tonight. 5 hits and a hit by pitch, so that's 6 base runners and 5 1/3 innings. It feels like there's been a lot more traffic for Syndergaard.
Well, when we talk about pitchers pitching under duress, Syndergaard's been pitching under duress for 2 hours now.
That's bullpen. It's quiet. There goes the runner. The pitch outside. The throw is high, and it's another stolen base as DeJesus picks up the 5th Cincinnati stolen base of the night.
That's a borderline strike right there. borderline knees.
This is one that Darno had a chance.
Darno is just struggling with the throwing.
Second stolen base of the year for DeJesus. So now second and third and one out. The infield will stay back with a 2-run lead. 1-1 to Mesoraco. And Syndergaard, needing a strikeout, gets ahead of the count 1-2. On 9 of 10 this year, 24 of 26 in his major league career have been successful stealing against Noah. And 5 of those have come tonight. Syndergaard has struck out 7.
Really the first time we've seen that pitch since the first inning. That high fastball.
Struck out Cozart on that pitch to start the game. Suarez at third. DeJesus the tying run at second with 1 out. Syndergaard up over 90 pitches for the night.
Struck him out. Nasty slider to fan Mesoraco. 8th strikeout for Syndergaard and his biggest to date.
Yeah, that's the best slider he's thrown all night. If you're up there at bat, Keith, you can't recognize that because of how hard he throws it.
Well, like we talked, Ronnie, in between innings a couple innings ago, that what we like about Syndergaard is when he has to make his pitches, when he's in trouble, he makes his pitches. And that's a sign you want to look from everybody on your staff.
So now a chance to get through the inning. Adam Duvall, who's been up twice and struck out both times. And Duvall goes after the first pitch slider, 0-1. Well, with the 8 strikeouts tonight, Noah Syndergaard has now struck out at least 8 in each of his last 8 regular season starts. There are only 2 longer streaks in Mets history. Dwight Gooden had 9 straight games. David Cohen had 10 straight with at least 8 strikeouts. And Duvall unable to reach that pitch. 0-2.
The slider that's eluded him all night long has come to the dance here in the 6th inning.
Struck him out. The Reds brought their running game, but Syndergaard runs the Reds' bats right into the ground. 9 Ks for Noah. 3-1 Mets in the 6th.
Conforto, another one, single, double, home run. Lucas Duda, a 2-run homer. Tyler Holt comes in to play right field in a double switch. He'll bat 8th, and the new pitcher J.C. Ramirez will hit in the 6th spot.
Well, Keith, you were talking about all the troubles the Reds have in their bullpen. Well, Ramirez was called up when they designated Tim Melville for assignment. So early workings and changes here for the Cincinnati Reds.
Second appearance for Ramirez, a native of Nicaragua, who we saw pitch for the Phillies a few years ago. He's also pitched for Arizona and Seattle.
20 games for that team last year. First Nicaraguan to play for the Reds.
Popped up by d'Arnaud. Votto coming over near the barrier, but it's beyond his reach. 0-2 to d'Arnaud, who's 0 for 2 tonight. It's the greatest player in the history of Nicaraguan baseball.
El Presidente, right?
Dennis Martinez, who is also the leading winner of any pitcher from a Latin American country, 245 wins.
He could pitch, and he would hit you in a heartbeat.
Now, are you surprised that Noah Syndergaard is out on deck after all the hard work he's done tonight, 95 pitches?
The way pitchers are treated today, early in the season, yes, I am surprised. You've seen some managers around baseball, Dusty Baker with Tanner Roark and Steven Strasburg the last couple of days, pushing their pitchers deeper into games, more pitches. It's worked sometimes with Roark's case, hasn't worked other times with Strasburg's case.
Strasburg gave up that 3-run homer in the 8th to Brian Dozier yesterday, a game the Nats eventually won in 16 innings. Back past the mound and off the second base bag, and d'Arnaud's got himself a base hit.
Hits have been hard to come by for Travis early in the season here.
You know, sometimes, Gary, you have that pitcher in the on-deck circle because if the first hitter gets on, you'll bunt him ahead. But the Mets have no one in their bullpen warming up, so you have to think that Syndergaard's going to pitch into the 7th.
Noah has struck out and walked tonight. There's evidence of the empty bullpen.
He bunts a lot like DeGrom.
Yeah.
Gets down low, that front foot forward, and gets down, bends at the knee.
Syndergaard just asked Tuffle to redo the signs. He didn't know if his bunt was on or not. It is.
And he gets it down nicely. Votto thinks about second, but has to go to first. 3-4 on the sacrifice. Second sack of the year for Syndergaard.
Well, why this is so good is that when you bend down like this, what you've identified for yourself as a bunter, that's the top of the strike zone. So anything above where your bat is, you let it go. Anything down is where you go for. And Syndergaard, textbook there.
Big shift on Granderson.
Well, he showed bunt the last time, so they'll keep the third baseman Suarez in the neighborhood this time. Have to with the runner at second base anyway. Granderson breaks his bat and bloops one for Cozart, and that's the second out. So 2 out now. David Wright, who was 0 for 3 tonight, struck out twice and hit into a fielder's choice. Facing J.C. Ramirez. Wright takes a slider for a strike. Michael Conforto would be next. And David breaks his bat and rolls one out for Votto. Side retired. Couple of broken bats for Ramirez. Gets him around a leadoff hit. After 6, 3-1 New York. Play for the Mets tonight. The power arm of Noah Syndergaard. His 4th start of the year. The first 3 have been dominant, and tonight has been no exception. 9 strikeouts through 6 innings for Thor, as the Mets look to continue at home what they have forged on the road. Scott Schebler leads off in the 7th inning against Syndergaard.
There's a lot of factors that go into making this decision to have him pitch into the 7th. Number of pitches under duress, but this one also, he's pitching this game on 6 days rest. He'll have an extra day before his next start.
It's a good point, Ronnie. Schebler pops one up on the left side, and Cabrera takes charge of it. 1 away. Let's check out your Cadillac around the majors. Toronto looking to go back over 500, facing a red-hot White Sox team and leading 5-4 in the 7th. 2 home runs for Miguel Cabrera, who's back in the lineup after missing a couple of days. And they lead Oakland. And Chris Archer, who has been struggling a bit, looks like he is on his game tonight.
Yeah, he needed that.
That was very rare for us. That was the All-American League around the majors. I don't think we've ever had one of those before.
Let's not make a habit of that.
Did we mention that Julio Teheran's pitching a great game for the Braves tonight? Down 1-0 to the Red Sox and a Jackie Bradley home run.
Wow.
First of the year for Boston. That's at least a half National League note.
Maybe he can earn that junior.
Syndergaard facing Tyler Holt, who came in a double switch in the last half inning. And gets that curveball in for a strike. 1-2.
I mean, it's not only where the breaking ball or the sharpness of the break, it's where the pitch is. I mean, literally on the outside corner.
1-2. Fastball rolled toward the hole, and that's going to sneak through for a base hit. Well, that is about as soft an outfield single as you're ever going to see, but Brock Holt somehow able to make contact on that fastball and find a hole.
Well, it wasn't pretty. If this isn't a ping hit, you've never seen one before. It just had his fanny flying out, but let go with one hand. Found a hole. You'll take it. Look at that. It's just a slap. Sometimes it's better to be lucky than good.
Hit number 6 against Syndergaard, and that brings up Billy Hamilton, who scored the only run for Cincinnati pretty much on his own. A bunt single, 2 steals, and he came home on a sacrifice fly. He scored a Maury Wills run.
You're right. Junior Gilliam batting in the 2-hole.
Right, he hit the ground ball to the right side after Maury stole second. Then Luke Johnson would hit the sac fly, and
from the
Dodgers would have the only run they needed.
There was a day when it was Tommy Davis in that 3rd hole.
Right. And that one gets away, and Holt takes off for second. He's going to take a turn, but stay right there. So an error on Syndergaard on the errant pickoff throw.
Good camera angle there. It's almost like he let up a little on the throw. He didn't really let it go, and I think that's how he lost the placement of that as it hits Holt right in the back of the calf.
Well, I think it's more of a that the base runners are bothering him tonight. The first time he's been challenged.
Well, the Reds have already stolen 5 bases in this game. It's the most the Mets have given up in a game since 2008. Mets have to keep the corners in against Hamilton, who's always a threat to bunt. I would think normally you'd want to crowd Hamilton, but especially now when he's got the bad thumb.
That's a good place to go, especially, you know, I mean, you get in there deep. It's going to be hard for him to put any power on it. Doesn't have a lot of power anyway, but.
And a fastball strike, and it's 0-2 to Hamilton.
Expressionless on the mound. Syndergaard, very composed, no emotion shown, total focus.
Oh, 2. Little dunker, shallow center. On comes De Aza to grab it. The throw back to second, but Holt arrives back safely. Well, you play shallow against Hamilton, and it paid off as De Aza was in the right spot for that little bloop. 2 out.
You're absolutely right, Gary. You can play a hitter like Hamilton shallow, and there it worked out to the Mets' advantage.
So now Syndergaard trying to get through 7. He's at 104 pitches. His career high last year was 116 against Arizona. He'll face Zach Cozart, who's 0 for 2 and drove in a run with a sac fly. And the curveball off the plate for ball 1.
A lot of breaking balls by Syndergaard in the last 2 innings.
That bullpen will get busy now. Antonio Bastardo is up, with Joey Votto 2 batters away. Syndergaard trying to put up 7 innings for the 3rd time in 4 starts. You know, you made the comment on the first broadcast we had this year, Ronnie, about the goal for the Mets starters this year should be 21 outs every day. Syndergaard's already done it twice in his first 3 starts and trying to do it again.
And that's impressive in April. I believe his next start won't be till May, which will ensure that maybe he has 3 starts of 7 innings plus. Beautiful.
1-1. Cozart launches one into left center for a base hit, and that'll bring in a run. Holt comes in to score, and this is now a 1-run ball game. So a 2-out RBI for Cozart, who's driven in both Cincinnati runs tonight. The Met lead is down to 3-2, and that's going to be all for Noah Syndergaard. So only 20 outs for Noah tonight.
One's too often into the slider well, Ronnie. And give credit to the hitter.
Well, Syndergaard's errant throw on the pickoff might have cost him there. They'll get a big hand from this big crowd at Citi Field. Nine strikeouts for Syndergaard tonight. The call to the bullpen brought to you by Verizon.
Back, and they're looking for new challengers. Think you can beat them at Mets Trivia? Audition for the next Beat the Booth from home. For details on how to video audition online for Beat the Booth, check out sny.tv today. In Spanish, that's hoy.
Are you applying? I'd love to see your video audition. Actually, we did. Antonio Bastardo on to face Eugenio Suarez.
Well, Bastardo pitched a couple innings on Wednesday, pitched in Atlanta on Friday. Gary, you were telling me they held him out this weekend to let him recuperate, so he should be ready to go here tonight. Interesting coming in against a right-handed hitter.
Suarez 1 for 3 on the night, tying run at first with 2 out. Bastardo misses badly with his first fastball.
What's really good about having a left-hander come in crucial situations, so we've seen a lot of running. It should neutralize any of the running game because of his ability to keep the runners close at first.
Reds have stolen 5 bases tonight against Noah Syndergaard. And you add in the errant pickoff throw, it's almost like a 6th stolen base, and that led to the second Cincinnati run. Syndergaard 107 pitches in 6 2/3, 7 hits, no walks, 9 strikeouts, a hit batsman, a wild pitch. And now hoping Bastardo can pick him up and get the 3rd out here in the 7th. And Suarez takes high. That's 2 fastballs well out of the strike zone for Bastardo. 2-0.
Suarez has shown the most power of any of these Reds hitters so far in this early season.
5 home runs for Suarez of the 17 the Reds have hit. Cozart the runner at first. He's driven in both Cincinnati runs tonight. Not a base stealer. And now Bastardo behind 3-0 with Joey Votto looming on deck. So things getting a little sketchy in a hurry for Bastardo, who needs a new baseball. Didn't like that one.
You don't even throw it into the umpire anymore. Just throw it out.
He didn't want the umpire to maybe change his mind.
Hey, it used to be in the day you'd throw it in, the umpire would check it, and he'd throw it right back to you. Too bad. Use this one.
Would Suarez be swinging 3-0?
No, I don't think so.
Not in front of Votto.
Nope.
And he takes outside, ball 4, so a 4-pitch walk by Bastardo moves the tying run to second, puts the go-ahead run on base, and brings Joey Votto to the plate.
This is not the guy you want at the plate here that can, with one swing, put the Reds ahead.
So Noah Syndergaard faced 28 batters, didn't walk any of them. Bastardo comes in, walks his first batter.
You have to be careful defensively against Votto. Against left-handed pitching, when I've watched him hit, he has no problem and lots of power to left field. So got to be alive if you're Conforto. Don't creep in too far.
Syndergaard handled him tonight, 0 for 3 with 2 strikeouts. He's 2 for 8 with a home run in his career against Bastardo. Cozart at second, Suarez at first with 2 out. And Votto takes a slider out of the strike zone. That's 5 pitches, 5 balls thrown by Bastardo. One thing about Votto, he's not going to help you if you're not throwing strikes. Logan Verrett quickly up in the Mets bullpen. Joey Votto drew 143 walks last year. And Bastardo just having awful problems. Hasn't come close with his fastball or his slider.
Well, this is always the issue you have with relievers, is that how do you rest them? When do you rest them? Bastardo has told Danworth and Terry Collins that he likes to pitch more often, but you also have to give him a break when they've pitched past their limit.
Well, we've seen Bastardo enough over the years to know there are times when he just can't throw strikes. Hasn't been a problem for him so far as a Met. But he's thrown 6 in a row out of the strike zone now, and he's behind Votto 2-0. And Votto goes after a 2-0 slider out of the strike zone. Boy, that is not Joey Votto. Not the one we're used to seeing.
Unhappy with himself right there. Fishing out in front.
That's why he's barely hitting over 200 here early in the season. That's something you never see Votto do when he's raking.
He has such great strike zone discipline. So a break for Bastardo. Now it's 2-1. And Votto grounds one foul, and now Bastardo right back to 2-2.
And that was his pitch to hit right there. And he's out in front, and he pulled it. Fastball, outer half, a lot of plate.
You know, Keith,
and out in front.
There's been so much noise on whether Votto should go out of the strike zone in these situations and try to put the ball in play. I wonder if that thought is creeping in.
Two out, 2 on, 2-2 to Joey Votto. Full count.
That was a slider or changeup.
I think it was a change.
Yeah.
And that's his third pitch.
So that'll get the runners in motion. Cozart the tying run at second. Suarez the potential go-ahead run at first. 3-2 and 2 down. Line drive, base hit into right field. That'll tie the game. Cozart is in. Stopping at third is Suarez. Joey Votto with an RBI single to get the Reds even. It's now 3-3.
Well, that walk killed. Also, the error on Syndergaard on the pickoff killed, but there's the veteran coming through in the clutch. I thought he would have gone to a slider here, fastball away, and the clutch hitter comes through. You can keep that in third gear, and first and third.
So Bastardo, who had been pitching so well, has himself a very rough outing. A 4-pitch walk to Suarez, a run-scoring single for Votto, and that ends Bastardo's night. And Logan Verrett will come on and try and bail him out. This pitching change brought to you by Empire City Casino. 3-3 game in the 7th. We'll be right back. into his new role as a reliever.
Pitched on Saturday, an inning of work, no runs.
That was his first relief outing after 2 terrific starts in place of Jacob deGrom. Now he's got 1 huge out to get. 3-3 game. First and third 2 out, and he faces Ivan DeJesus, who had a base hit in his only at bat. Single to right field in the 6th against Syndergaard after coming on for the injured Brandon Phillips. And he takes a slider for a strike.
Well, we're talking about Votto clutch hitting. This is the first at bat here, the first pitch. He's 1-0. He's choking up. Now with 2 strikes, choking up more, if you can believe that. 2 inches. And that's a big power hitter right there. And there's no ego involved. That is just smart.
1-1 to DeJesus. So both the runs in this inning charged to Noah Syndergaard. His final line tonight, 6 2/3, 3 runs, all earned, 7 hits, no walks, 9 strikeouts. A no decision for Syndergaard. His ERA goes up to 1.69. Bastardo faced 2 batters. They both reached. And now Verrett trying to keep this game tied in the 7th. 1-1 to DeJesus. And he pops the fastball in for a strike. 1-2.
Terry showing confidence in Verrett coming in a tight spot. I like it.
Turning into the Mets Swiss Army knife. Tony Cingrani, the lefty, up in the Cincinnati bullpen.
You know, you could play Duda behind Votto. DeJesus had a base hit to right field in his last at bat. Got to cut down that hole a little bit.
1-2 coming. Check swing. Did he go? No.
Agreed.
Rookie umpire Carlos Torres at first says no swing.
I disagree. I thought he went there, Keith. Let's see the replay says.
I don't think so.
That's awful close. So DeJesus with a life. Two coming. Struck him out. Logan Verrett gets 1 king-sized out in the top of the 7th. Reds get 2, but they leave 2. 7th inning stretch time. Tied at 3. A trivia question for tonight. Who are the 3 Met pitchers with more than 1 shutout all time against the Reds. Shutout meaning complete game shutout, something that rarely happens these days. Michael Conforto leads off the home seventh in what is now a tie ball game. Mets led 1-0. Reds tied it. Mets led 3-1 on Duda's home run, and the Reds have now tied it again. Conforto got the Mets started with a first inning home run. He's 3 for 3 tonight. Now facing J.C. Ramirez, who promptly falls behind him 2-0. Ramirez came in to pitch the 6th inning, gave up a leadoff hit to Darno, but was able to work around it. Duda and Walker to follow. And Conforto fouls back the fastball 2-1.
Big rip.
So Raisel Iglesias is now off the hook. He went the first 5 for the Reds, allowed 3 runs, 8 hits, 2 walks, 7 strikeouts. That's a score of their 3 runs on a pair of home runs tonight. They've had other opportunities, but have been unable to cash in. And now it's 3-1 to Conforto, who is just a triple shy of the cycle. You know how often that gets said in baseball? You know how rarely the guy gets the triple?
Well, didn't you have it with Lucas a while ago? That he was a triple away from the cycle in Philadelphia.
And there's ball 4. Conforto's on base for the 4th straight time.
See, that is what the third hitter is all about. That's a situation now where you don't think in terms of yourself as a 3-hitter. You're leading off an inning, and you need to get on base.
Well, he was on base for Duda in the 3rd.
And Duda crushed it. Number 4 for Lucas. RBIs 13 and 14.
So now the tie-breaking run at first. A modified shift against Duda this time. And he gets crowded, and it's a strike. 0-1. And now they change the shift with 1 strike and send Suarez over to the right side and leave Cozart alone on the left side.
It's great for the pace of game initiative, by the way.
Ooh. Cut by Duda.
Another big rip.
See Duda blowing on his hands is starting to cool down a little bit. Temperature at 58 degrees. And we talked about the Reds bullpen. It's been just awful, but Ramirez, a newcomer, just his 2nd appearance. And Duda foul tips it for strike 3. 1 out. And that'll bring up one of the newer Mets, Neil Walker.
No matter where I'm at, going to the ballpark, you kind of leave everything else behind. You focus on what you can control, and you prepare yourself for that day. And ultimately, your biggest goal is to win. And when you look around the clubhouse here, you realize that there's a lot of guys that have that similar mindset. That creates a positive atmosphere, an atmosphere where guys are pulling for each other. At the end of the day, all they want to do is win.
And Neil Walker seems to have fit right into that mentality with a team that won last year and wants to win more.
I know he didn't have the kind of season he wanted last year, but Michael Cuddyer played a pivotal role early in the season in the spring training, and they've gotten 2 players in Walker and Cabrera who are both leaders also.
Look for something that you could pop in that hole, 1st and 3rd, set up a 1st and 3rd here. And we've talked about this, Ron. The easiest way to do is that ball away. You just roll over that top hand and get that ball into right field and set up a 1st and 3rd.
Walker pulls 1 foul. So Addison Reed up in the Mets bullpen, getting ready to pitch in the 8th. Logan Verrett got 1 enormous out for the Mets to end the 7th.
Versatile Verrett, right? Whatever you ask him to do, he gets it done.
Kellen Cotham, the former Yankee, is up in the bullpen for the Reds. They've been talking about using him as a closer with all the indecision in that Cincinnati bullpen.
The Reds have been very game here tonight.
Reds have lost to the Mets 8 straight times. A good cutter by Ramirez to get ahead on Walker. That swept the season series last year from Cincinnati. It was an odd year in that the Mets swept all 7 games from the Reds. They got swept in the season series by both the Pirates and the Cubs. Those things don't happen that often. Of course, the Mets turned the tables on the Cubs in the League Championship Series.
Launched in the air, deep right center. Back goes Holt near the wall. It's out of here! Wow. Neil Walker puts the Mets back in front. His 8th home run in April. 2-run shot for Walker, 5-3 New York. Neil Walker, a winning player coming to a winning team, and he has gotten off to a tremendous start for his new ball club.
Again, another terrific at bat. He fought off some tough sliders and finally got himself a hanger. 8 home runs. Watch the hanger. Wants it down and in. Oh, helicopter. Goodbye. What a start for Neil Walker.
Most home runs Neil Walker has ever hit in a calendar month. 8 home runs in April, and he's still got another few days to go. Cabrera rolls one to the right side. Kozar playing on the right side. Throws him out.
Here's a great angle right here. Look at the helicopter. Hanging slider out over the plate. Bell tie. And you still got to hit him. What a terrific start.
3rd home run of the night for the Mets. They were blanked in the long ball department yesterday, but they've come back roaring tonight. Conforto, Duda, and now Walker, accounting for all 5 Met runs.
Mesoraco called for that ball down and in, and he left it just out over the middle. Reaction from Ramirez. Get down, get down. That ain't getting down, bro.
You tell him, Ron.
0-2 to De Aza, who's 1 for 3 on the night. Well, 3 times the Mets have taken the lead. We'll see if the 3rd time is the charm. Reds have come back to tie twice.
All 5 runs via the home run, Gary.
De Aza tries to hold. He went around strike 3. Inning over, but the Mets back in front on the power bat of Neil Walker. 8th home run for Walker. 5-3 New York after 7.
Be answered. Will Mike McCagnon uncover a game changer? Get all your questions answered as the Jets get ready to go on the clock. Jets Nation Draft Day 2016. Complete draft coverage begins Thursday, 6 o'clock, only on SNY.
So Kevin Plawecki is in to catch. Juan Lagares in center field. Addison Reed on to pitch, and a line drive right at Neil Walker on the first pitch. Reed throws. And that retires Devin Mesoraco for the first out.
Oh, you love to see that as a pitcher. 1 pitch, 1 out for Addison Reed. 11 punch outs in 9 innings of work.
So what happened to Travis d'Arnaud?
Don't know.
I don't know. What are they chanting?
They're chanting Neil Walker's name.
Ah, sweet.
Jordan Pacheco will be the pinch hitter for the Reds, so we'll have to check on d'Arnaud, who came out of the game after that last half inning. Lagares in the 9-hole. Plawecki straight up for d'Arnaud in the 8-hole. And Reed hitting 7th after De Aza made the last out. Pacheco, the former Colorado Rocky, who can do some catching and play third base, takes low and away, 2-1.
Well, here's the issue. You've only got 2 catchers. It used to be clubs would carry 3, and your lone backup catcher is your lone left-hand hitter off the bench.
That's Tucker Barnhart, a switch hitter. Fastball strike, 2-2. Addison Reed last pitched on Saturday, worked a scoreless inning, gave up 1 hit. Looking to set it up for Jeurys Familia, who has been anything but perfect in the early season. Little looper down the right field line, but Granderson playing that way. 2 out. So Pacheco flies out. 2 up and 2 set aside by Reed. Let's answer our Verizon trivia question. The only 3 Met pitchers with more than 1 shutout against the Reds all time. I'd guess Seaver and Gooden.
Oh, that's pretty good. That's a pretty good trio.
That was a good place to start.
Only the 3 greatest pitchers that ever pitched for the organization. Good going.
You know, always start with the obvious and work your way down.
Exactly.
With Scott Schebler.
Good fastball right there.
Well, the Mets have taken the lead 3 times in this game with home runs. The first 2 times the Reds were able to tie. We'll see if the third one breaks their spirit. 1-1 to Schebler.
Well, what the Mets have done too is every time they've been able to answer when a club scores some runs.
Good slider by Reed. 1-2 to Schebler. Mets coming home to start a 9-game homestand. In their first homestand in 6 games, they hit a total of 1 home run. My, how things have changed. 2-2 now to Schebler. It's now 26 home runs in the last 10 games. It's crazy.
It is nuts.
It reminds me a little of August and September of last year. Every time you needed that big knock, you got it.
Reed strikes out Schebler, and he has himself a dominating inning. 1, 2, 3 go the Reds in the top of the 8th. Addison NY is brought to you by Bob's Discount Furniture. Shop in store or online at mybobs.com. By T-Mobile, get Major League coverage. T-Mobile has doubled its 4G LTE in the last year. And by Toyota. Visit your local Toyota dealer and test drive the all-new RAV4 Hybrid today. Toyota, let's go places. Former Yankee Caleb Cotham comes on to pitch the bottom of the 8th.
The Vanderbilt product, 28 years old, pitched 12 games with the Yankees last year, and he was part of that trade to get Aroldis Chapman.
Kevin Plawecki took over for Travis d'Arnaud in the last half inning, and I think we may have detected what happened to Travis and why he came out of this game. Foul down the right side. This is his at bat in the 6th inning.
And a bit of a grimace.
What does that make you think?
To me, it's a right oblique issue when you saw him grimace like that.
He's not feeling well, that's for sure.
He caught another half inning after that in the top of the 7th, but unable to continue. We'll wait for a full medical report, but it certainly appeared as though whatever happened to Travis happened during that at bat, and hopefully it's something they caught quickly and won't become a big deal. But he's had so many physical problems over the last few years that have cost him time. Last year he was hit by a pitch, broke his hand. He had the elbow injury he suffered on the tag in Atlanta just what, a week after he got back from the first injury. There's Familia up in the bullpen, so hopefully Travis will be okay and be able to avoid the DL. Curveball from Cotham, strike 3 called. So Plawecki strikes out to start the bottom of the 8th.
This is where, as a hitter, you don't like this pitch because it's not a good curveball from Cotham. Stays on the inside part and up, but he got the call from Holbrook.
I always would say if you got lucky, that's not where you wanted it, and you put it on the inside corner, and you got away with it.
Yep.
Now Juan Lagares, who came in the double switch in the last half inning, had a good series in Atlanta, going 3 for 9, hitting over 300 for the year. And you have to figure if Cespedes is going to miss another couple of days, that Lagares will get the call tomorrow against Brandon Finnegan. But that also raises an interesting question. If Cespedes can't play tomorrow, as Lagares gets dusted, and surprised that didn't happen earlier after Brandon Phillips got hit in the hand. I guess that means Michael Conforto gets a start against the lefty, right? If Cespedes can't play.
He's playing every day in my book.
Well, he hasn't been. Out to right field. And back goes Holtz, and he grabs it on the warning track to retire Lagares, 2 out. I mean, the plan certainly was, if Cespedes was healthy, for Conforto not to play against the lefty. But I think tomorrow it's almost a certainty that he would have to be in the lineup. Conforto.
Well, you've seen it start to happen, Gary, taking late inning at bats against left-handed relievers. So, you know, they've been preparing him for this inevitability.
Well, the better preparation would have been to teach either he or Cespedes to play right field, right? So you could give Granderson a day off against a lefty and play one of them in right. But the way it is now, they'll probably have to play Lagares in right field when he and Cespedes are both healthy.
Yeah, in my opinion, I think Conforto is such a pearl that you just want to leave him in one position, don't move him around, and just let him rake.
And let him play every day. Sorry.
But here's the bigger question to that. Why can't Cespedes play right field? The guy's got a gun for an arm. Wouldn't you want that in right field if Anderson has a day off?
I agreed, but you know that, you know, there's the issue that when he went over to Boston the first time from Oakland, he said, I have no problem playing center field, left field, prefer not to play right field. You know, so I don't know if that holds true here, because he told Terry, just put me anywhere and I'll play.
Granderson pulls one down to Votto, handles the hop. 1-2-3 inning for Caleb Cotham, and now it's in the hands of Jeurys Familia. He'll take the mound for the 9th, hoping for a less dramatic save, up 5-3. Pirates have taken the lead 3 times, hoping the 3rd time's the charm, and Jeurys Familia hoping maybe for a clean inning.
You know, I was watching on Sunday, and he hung a slider to Frank Core, but I did see some movement forward. There were a lot of balls hit off the end of the bat, jam shots that ended up as infield hits. So I think that sinker is starting to move downward.
Tyler Holt will be the first man up against him. Got my Holtz confused. Holt had a base hit in his only at bat in the 7th and scored a run. And he takes inside. Holt's playing right field right now. The regular right fielder for the Reds is Jay Bruce, who left today for paternity leave, and about an hour ago Jay and his wife Hannah welcomed a son into the world. Carter Bruce was born at 9:08 this evening, so congratulations to the Bruces. Now stay away for the next couple of days and be with the family.
That's right.
Here's the 1-0, and Familia misses high. Billy Hamilton on deck, and then Zach Cozart in the top of the 9th. There's a strike. Two low count with a 2-run lead. You had to throw that down the middle, but you'd like to see that ball around the knees. That's where he gets those ground balls. We've gotten word on Travis d'Arnaud. It's not quite what we thought. Travis left the game with what they're calling shoulder discomfort. Well, it wasn't,
but it looked like he probably
wasn't a
from the swing,
right. But not an oblique, and maybe that's a good thing.
0 for 2 on speculating tonight. Try to not do any more.
Two and 2 to Tyler Holt. Bouncing ball, Cabrera to his left. 1 out. Nicely handled by Cabrera. 1 out on the top of the 9th.
Boy, he throws nicely on the run, doesn't he, Keith?
He does a lot of things very well, Ron. He is a solid shortstop.
Coming up tonight after the postgame, it's Geico Sports Night with Doug Williams. Have all the baseball news, the NBA playoffs. Steph Curry, 2 weeks. It's a killer, right?
Yeah, what's he got, a sprained MCL or?
Best attraction in the NBA. Here's Billy Hamilton, who forged a run on his own back in the 3rd with a bunt single, a couple of steals, came home on a sacrifice fly. Since then he's grounded out and flied out. 1 for 3. Hamilton slashes one. Foul. Did he get it? Did he catch that ball? No. He got it and flipped it to the fan.
Quick hands.
That's good. That's some good work down there. That was a bullet. We got good people here.
Yeah, we do.
Familia ahead 0-2. Quick pitch, and that just missed. First time we've seen Familia employ the quick pitch this season.
And it just missed.
Zach Cozart on deck. 1-2 to Hamilton. Oh, just got a piece.
Oh, grub worm there.
The full swing by Hamilton, and the ball went negative yardage. That's hard to do.
Oh.
Huh?
Well, don't make fun of us hitters.
You know what, though? Anytime he hits the ball fair like that, he might beat it out. A little bit high, 2-2. Nathan Eovaldi just had a no-hit bid broken up in the bottom of the 7th in Texas by Nomar Mazara.
Well, he's doing everything this month after they've called him up, right?
Yes.
Chu went on the DL and they brought him up.
20 years old. They bring him up young in Texas. 2-2. And that slider just missed. Full count.
Okay. Here hit it.
Certainly cannot walk Hamilton with a 2-run lead. No threat to hit a home run. Or a little threat. 3-2 coming. Slap to short. Cabrera in front of it. 2 out. Said here hit it. He hit it. Got the out he needed.
It's coming at a little more difficulty for Familia, but a good sign. 2 ground balls.
Yes.
Familia hasn't had a 1-2-3 inning since the 2nd game of the season in Kansas City. He's got a chance for one here. Facing Zach Cozart, who's driven in 2 of the 3 Cincinnati runs tonight with a single and a sac fly. 2 out and nobody on top of the 9th. And Cozart takes a fastball strike. Cozart takes a slider for a strike, and it's 0-2. Quick pitch, line drive over Duda's head. It's a foul ball. A little flare off the bat of Cozart that almost nestled in.
3 quick pitches so far in this inning by Familia, all fastballs. That's going to have to change at some point.
Well, that was the Alex Gordon home run for which he took so much criticism in Game 1 of the World Series. Logan Verrett stands to be the winner. He got the final out of the 7th before Walker homered in the bottom of the 7th to give the Mets the lead. 0-2 coming. And again, Cozart able to foul off the quick pitch fastball. Trying to put it away. He struck him out, and the ball game is over. A much more comfortable save for Jeurys Familia. The Mets hit 3 more home runs. Neil Walker with the go-ahead blow. And the Mets keep rolling. 9 wins in their last 11 games as they beat the Reds 5-3.
All 5 runs once again for these Mets on the 3 home runs. Conforto started it off with his 3rd. A solo shot in the bottom of the 1st. A big 2-run shot by Duda that answered. The Reds tied the ball game up. They answered. The Reds again would tie the game up. The Mets would answer with Walker's 8th home run.
The game began with a strikeout of Cozart on a high fastball, and it ends on a strikeout on a high fastball from Familia. Syndergaard was outstanding tonight. Pitched into the 7th inning. Verrett came on and got a big out to get the win.
Verrett picking up Antonio Bastardo, who struggled for a rare time, and starting with Verrett, the Mets bullpen retired the last 7 Reds hitters. Never allowed another base runner after Walker's home run gave the Mets the lead. Tonight's game summary brought to you by Citi. Mets have now won 9 of their last 11 games. 3 home runs tonight. That is 26 home runs in the Mets' last 10 games. Let's go down to Steve Gelb. Steve?
Gary here with Neil Walker. Unbelievable power surge continues, now 8 on the season. But Neil, this was number 1 at Citi Field. How'd that feel in that spot nonetheless?
Well, it felt great. I mean, we battled hard tonight. Pitchers threw the ball real well. I was just happy to be in the position to help the team win. And this is a great crowd here. I'm having a lot of fun.
Did you hear the fans chanting your name?
That was pretty awesome.
When you look at that situation right there, 0-2 against J.C. Ramirez, what are you looking to do in that situation?
Yeah, you're just battling. He obviously has got a really good fastball and a good slider, and you're hoping for a mistake when you get down, and that's kind of what happened. He left the slider up in the zone, and I was able to hit it good enough to get it out.
Mentioned it earlier, 8 home runs. It's only April. Last year you hit 16 total. What is behind this power surge from you?
I don't know. I really don't know. My swing feels good. I'm seeing the ball good. I'm getting the barrel to it, and that's all that matters. We're winning games. We're playing pretty good baseball, but we feel like our best baseball is still ahead of us.
Neil, appreciate it as always. Congrats.
Thanks, Steve.
Gary, back to you.
Tremendous start for Neil Walker. 8 home runs in the month of April, the most he's hit in any month for every Mets win. The Mets organization is proud to contribute $2,500 to Northwell Health and the Katz Institute for Women's Health. For more information, visit northwellhealth.com/KIWH. This win brings the total contributions so far this season to $27,500. Only Jeff Kent among Mets second basemen ever hit 8 home runs in April, and now Neil Walker has matched him, and he hits the game winner tonight, a 2-run shot in the bottom of the 7th to give the Mets a 5-3 win over the Reds. More coming up from Citi Field in just a moment.